Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever and wherever you are watching this from. It is the Nine Moons competition. My name is Legion2K, and I'm joined alongside Acronator here for the final chapter of this competition. Players have been hunting quite a lot on these maps, and we're finally ready to see just how it's all going to play out here. Over $1,000 in a prize pool that will be dished out. And of course, Acronator, there's a little bit extra on top of that prize pool.
Yeah, definitely, because while the prize money is nice, they're also going to be playing for those top two positions, because first and second place will qualify directly into the top 64 of XP Evo this year in Cologne, Germany, and that's a pretty big event, right? The last couple of years have been pretty good for XP Evo, so I think everyone is really going to be vying for those spots. And for third through eighth place, they're also going to be getting some Ambit circuit points that will also potentially count towards qualifying towards XP Evo, but you want those first two spots to guarantee that position.
Yep, and we are going to be doing quite a lot of culling today. We're going to take 64 down to 16. That'll set us up for tomorrow. But Acronator, I mean, I've been kind of paying attention to the leaderboards a little bit, just seeing, who's doing what and where and when. Are there any players that really stick out to you, or is it kind of just one of those free for all? We'll just see how it happens.
There's definitely a few front runners. I've been keeping an eye on the leaderboards over the last couple of days once the hunting started to solidify more, as well as the times this morning. Richie in particular stole I think 2 world records between midnight our time, Eastern US last night versus this morning. I think he might have even driven some of those world records in the qualifying stage, if I'm being honest, because it's 2 hours ago. Okay, well, the dude has been grinding like hell. Josh, extremely well-known full-speed player. He's probably one of the best in recent times. He also has a world record still standing. He had 2, I think, at one point. And then Mako is also another one. I believe Elkan's also in here somewhere. He's not towards the very, very top of the times in the leaderboards, but
a little farther back, which is surprising because when you think about players who are sort of the problem child, not in the sense that they're gonna make your life miserable. Well, they are, but in the sense that you give them an inch, they're gonna take a mile. So to see Elkan not too high up, he's I mean, if we're going off of Trackmania, he's in last, which I doubt because it's
no, no. Elkan is a very tricky competitor, so I don't trust his times not being towards the very top, because we all know what he's capable of. And I mean, speaking of what we're going to be seeing, we should talk about the match that we're actually going to be covering, because we'll more than likely see all those players that we just mentioned in a little bit. But let's talk about upper bracket match number 3, Legion, because that's the one we're going to be following to start off today.
Yep, Mime, Henkin, Jaeger. That is, I don't know how it's gonna go. I mean, for Mimo, I think he's gonna have a pretty easy time with that. I mean, he's proven in with the hunting and in other competitions that he is definitely somebody to look out for. Henkin and Jaeger, I think they may be squabbling for P2. I don't think they're really gonna challenge that P1, but it's 9 Moons. Anything is gonna happen.
Yeah, possibly. I feel like you said, the top spot is definitely, it appears to be guaranteed. Of course, nothing is ever guaranteed. These maps are very difficult, by the way, folks. You'll get to see them in a little bit. We'll talk more about them as we get to see them. We're going to be playing for those top 2 positions for each of these matches today. As we get towards the prize money, we'll actually play out for 3rd and 4th place, just to make sure people can have that determination of prize money. But for now, again, we're just going to be sticking mostly to the top 2. Mimo Jr. is definitely going to be that front runner here in this match. Henkin, of course, being the higher seed than Jaeger, might have a chance, but you never know. There's always room for dark horses here and there. I think we're just waiting for some of these players to get into the lobby. The lobby is currently open, and I think the players are starting to flood in. We got about another minute, technically, before the match officially starts. And actually, the countdown timer in-game just popped up, so we got 20-something seconds before that warm-up and whatnot. And then we can actually talk about some of these maps in more detail. It'll be easier when you can physically see them.
Yeah, I've just been, I haven't been driving them, of course, but I've just been watching the world records progress, and Yeah, these are pretty difficult. It's for
Yeah.
me, I would be last. I would, save Elcon from that fate, but to actually watch these maps get played and to watch everybody actually sending it, it is very mesmerizing. And that's kind of the one thing I do like about comp maps is, yeah, they're difficult, they're going to be tricky, it's going to throw a wrench in the works, but when you actually put that time in to practice it, it is so satisfying. And it really, I mean, it doesn't matter any map, but these especially, it's like damn, okay.
Yeah, these maps, like you said, Legion, you can really send some of these, and it looks like we're going to be starting off on Goldilocks. We do have 3 maps by the Eurus mapping team, and then 1 by Nolafis, and then 1 by the infant himself, Author Time. We always have to mention how young he is, like, what, 15 or so? It's just an NCSA tradition. He's getting older, man. Years are going on. I feel the hands of time slowly taking me as we speak. But I think the race is actually going to be starting, so we should be getting in game. And these players are off, keep in mind, folks. For now, it's just a pretty standard 120 points to finalists, and then finish out the finalists with a win kind of deal. Right now, you can see all 3 players keeping it relatively close to start off here on Goldilocks Zone, again, by the Eurus mapping team. And, well, so far the seating seems to be the positions that we see here on this map. Mimo Jr. up towards the front, and Henkin in second, Jaeger following up the rear by about a second, give or take.
Yeah, and keep in mind, like we've said, there's multiple maps here. It's not just Goldilocks Zone. If it was, then, you could pretty much predict everything. But, the fastest times that these players are putting in, of course, are a lot different from their averages, because when you're hunting, you want that higher seating. You are going to go for a more risky play style. You might, send it a little bit harder on this corner. You might get a little bit more ambitious with the throttle here or there. And yeah, for seating, that's good, but when you're in competition, when you're in live rounds, you have to dial it back, and only, in the most drastic of circumstances should you, push. But with how early we are in the bracket right now, we're not going to be seeing a lot of risk, to be completely honest, unless it is at a point where, you are so very, very close to losing that top 2 spot. But I think for right now, yeah, we'll take it easy. We'll have, I'd say, somewhat predictable rounds, maybe a few mistakes here and there, but I'm not really banking on anything too exciting.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, unless you're Elcon, where he just sends it 24/7, because why not? It's funny to get a world record in rounds. And, well, speaking of world record, folks, I guess we should talk a little bit about numbers just to understand how good the 108.285 that Mimo Jr. just drove actually was. Because the world record is a 107.555 by Richie as of this morning. Nako had it as of last night, so this is one of those maps that he might have actually gotten a new world record on in the qualifying rounds earlier today. Which I don't believe were streamed officially, but there might have been a POV here and there. But in particular, Goldilocks Zone, this map, I feel like it's characterized a lot by these really long turns that you can get a lot of time out of just by sending it, right? This is one of those maps, especially some of these drifts, where if you get the right line going into it, especially this one that you can see, you can gain tenths on your opponents. And the risky finish being a little bit too risky for Henkin. He crashes there. He's going to be able to get in. Nope. He falls down to 3rd place. You can see there is quite a bit of risk there. You can take it safe. You can go to the left, but that risks, maybe a tenth or two, tenth and a half, give or take, seems to be. But, you got to risk it for the biscuit if you want to make an easy road for yourself into XP Evo.
Yeah, but you got to keep in mind, the deeper we get into this competition, the best of the best are going to start to come to the top. And, that's going to be the time where you do have to take those risks. And we do see a very early mistake there from Jaeger, so he'll fall off about a second, probably more by the time we get to the next checkpoint. But with that, top 64 at XP Evo as sort of, I guess I would say, the ultimate prize for some of these drivers, we are going to be seeing a lot more of what these drivers are actually capable of. I think especially now it's important to not show your hand too early, because if you do, then you might give something over to your opponent that you'd rather them not have, that might diminish your chances. So I mean, right now to see Mimo 2.5 seconds, if not more, up the field already, I can't say I'm too surprised with that.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, he was far and away the highest seed coming into this match. He's the expected first place coming out of this. He's getting the risky every single time so far, although he pushed it pretty close towards the end there. But I mean, yeah, so far the seeding has been determining where these positions are, minus that one pretty simple mistake from Henkin towards the end of the map there. But you can see, despite that, I mean, Maimo has almost double the points of even second place, definitely double the points of third place. And as we get further into the bracket, there will be 4 players per lobby in most cases. Just the way seeding worked out, there's going to be some matches in this first round, I believe, with just 3 players, but that's all right. Just means less competition, I guess, for that second, third place, so you don't have to fight with one other person for a potential elimination in the very first round. Or I guess technically, not fully elimination, this is upper bracket, so keep that in mind, folks. This isn't an elimination match, but still, you don't want to play, 5 extra matches over the course of the day by falling down into the lower bracket immediately.
I mean, maybe you want to do that. I feel like there
you
might
want
be
the aura.
One person. Yeah, there might be one person who just wants to aura farm. $1,000 plus prize pool, top 64 spot at XP vote. Nah, I need to aura farm, which, might work, it might not. But, I think there are some people. I mean, if you look at Henkin and Jaeger, I mean, they're keeping it close in the points. We just had that last round where
Henkin
to get a little bit something. Oh, Hank. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought he messed up. No, but I think some people will just try to go, as far as they can. They're not going to worry about, if they win money or not. Yeah, I think we'll be in for a treat once we get down to just the 2, because of I'd say the close proximity of Henkin and Jaeger. But we'll see how things pan out as we head to the Mesosphere for our second map here. World record, I don't have it in front of me, although I probably
do. I have it on my second monitor.
Perfect. What do we got?
It's a 54.081 by Richie. I believe this is one of the world records he already had, so this probably isn't one of the maps that he was hunting like hell as of this morning for him, or maybe the afternoon. It's, most of these people are Europeans. It's a bit later in the day compared to Legion and I, who are East Coast United States. We're 5-6 hours behind everyone in that regard. But yeah, a 55 in general is going to be a pretty good time here, much like a 108 was a pretty decent time. If we see 54 anything, that's going to be a time to be excited about.
I'll be amazed, especially this early on. Not to, diss competition or anything, but again, early stages of the bracket, we're not really too concerned about whether or not somebody is or is not putting these ridiculous times down. I'm sure if we check in 30 minutes, we'll see Elcon probably has a few. Yeah. But right now, it's a pretty predictable start here with Maimo, Henkin, Jaeger as they were. This seems to be a map that Jaeger is struggling a little bit with, so I'll leave him on his own. But one thing I do like with Mesosphere is sort of the mixed surface. We're running on dirt, we're running on grass, we are running on road, and if I remember correct, I might be misremembering. Oh, and plastic too. Yep. The last one I was remembering, and even wood. So it's nice to see that Mesosphere does have that sort of diversity of surfaces, because you never know what's going to happen as a 54-6 from Maimo. All right.
That's fast. That's almost within half a second of world record. So that's what we expect of Maimo Jr., but still, it's really nice to see that he doesn't have to push, but he is. He's showing off a little bit for the fans in chat. And there's really, as you can see, there's a lot going on in this map. It's almost mini RPG-esque with all the transitions and the different surfaces and whatnot. I don't know if it quite hits that mini RPG definition, but I think it's close, right? Because it's really the weird stuff in this map that'll gain or lose you time. You can see the difference here just between Henkin and Maimo Jr. I mean, it's really the airtime I've noticed that makes a huge difference, as well as just sending it on that wood turn towards the very end, because you can lose at least a tenth in that wood turn. And I mean, once we get to that point, last round I was watching Henkin, I could hear him release just a little bit, but the top players in the world don't release at all on that wood turn. but of course it is safer. And I mean, right now, Henkin's in a pretty decent position. He's being able to separate himself points-wise from Jaeger just a little bit, especially with Jaeger not finishing the last round. So that's going to be, 4 points that he just can't, or I guess 3 points difference that he just can't gain back. He's going to have to slowly and surely grind his way up to recontest Henkin for that second place spot so that he doesn't fall down into the lower bracket immediately.
Yeah, no, we're going to be seeing a lot of sort of early survival here as we get into another set of rounds. Players are not, if you're in loser or if you're in lower bracket, obviously it's fine. You're not going to be entirely out of it, but you are on sort of that last chance, last stand. And, if you lose there, you're out. Obviously, if you don't, you keep going. But making sure you have sort of that cushion as deep into the tournament as you can, for some might actually be a lifesaver as we get deeper and deeper into this.
Jaeger.
Oh, and Jaeger. That was a little touch there on the transition, so he's had to respawn, falling way down there. Mimo still leading Henkin, showing him what the line is supposed to look like, and Hank doing his best to try and emulate that. But up into the finish, Mimo, another 54.45.
Okay.
He's done the palindrome.
Yeah, just pack it up, folks. Mimo's going for first place. He's like, okay, I'm ready for upper bracket round 2. Pack it. He's already 70 points out of the 120 he needs to just get finalist. And I mean, has he gotten second place? No, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's just gotten first place 7 rounds in a row. He's going for 13 flat, nice and easy, in and out as fast as humanly possible. Why not, man? Why drag it out? Why give them hope?
It's smart though, if depending on how quickly you get through your match and depending on how quickly whoever ends up being in your next match gets through what they need to do, you can have a nice little break. And you know what? I know the French like their breaks, so that's probably what Mimo's doing, realizing that he could probably get himself a little something to eat in between, calm down a bit, and then, come back in for the next round. So that's probably what he's doing. And then, of course, he'll leave Hank and Jaeger to kind of battle it out. Although looking at the splits right now, Jaeger almost 5 seconds behind. It looks like this may be a map that Jaeger probably didn't work with too much in the hunting phase.
Yeah, this rounds-wise, this feels like one of the maps ever. No, one of the maps that's you just have to survive, man. Like you either have it or you don't for this kind of map. There are maps in the pack that are a little bit easier, In particular, I think Blonde by Author Time is a little bit more calm by comparison. It's not an easy map. None of these are, but easier, right? This is one of those maps where it's just like, get to the finish, claim your points, go home, hopefully go home later in the bracket than the others. But I mean, speaking of other maps that are probably a little bit easier than Mesosphere, Ironclad by No Laughs is going to be the next one. This one, I don't want to say it's easier, but it probably is. I think everything in this map pack is easier than Mesosphere, personally. But go try it for yourself, folks. If you have a paid access to the game, you can try it out for yourself. It's in the 9 Moons Club Gravity Break campaign. These maps are not easy. It's really impressive what all of these players are doing. It's just more impressive what some of them are doing compared to the others in this lobby.
Yeah, it's I would struggle 100%. This is why I commentate. I don't compete, but I try when I can. But we are getting into the first round of 4 here on Ironclad. Some of the drivers getting the bonks out of the way early. And speaking of which, Jaeger, exactly right on cue. What a legend. That just leave
scripted.
Yeah, scripted. Sorry, I leaked the script, guys. My bad. One thing I do want to note with Ironclad, especially with the start, is that very late drift. Because normally, when you do have that sort of, I'd say, tall uphill turn on, say, like a Cup of the Day map or something that you and the boys made, you would expect an earlier drift. But I do think that a delayed drift like that actually does allow for a greater expression of player skill because it is that restraint. It's very tempting to just hit the brake right as you think you're supposed to, but you're going to completely mess up the corner. So seeing how Nullifus sort of constructed this map, especially incorporating the plastic and trying to add little bits of grip when and where he can, it has been it's always blows me away what people are able to come up with, even with the same blocks. How they go about actually putting them together differently is the one thing I've enjoyed, especially looking at these maps.
I want to point out there that, Mimo Jr.'s time probably looked very impressive at 58.4. Legion, I want you to guess what the world record is on
Oh,
this
it's got
map.
to be like a 56 or like a 55.
It's a 56.595 by Josh. So, yeah, the author time is a 57.92. So, the times are cooked on this map. Like, that was a
Oh yeah.
clean run, but there are so many tiny little things that you can do on this map to gain a lot of time. A lot of it has to do with just minimizing airtime, I've noticed. These drifts, like you mentioned before, Mimo Jr. just having the best run of that. But, I mean, as you can see, Jaeger. Actually, I think he crashed. He's further behind than the splits say, but he was closer at one point in time, and we have the splits to prove it, as well as the VOD. Don't worry, Jaeger, I got you. But yeah, no. You can see Henkin as well falling a little bit further behind. He seems to have a little bit of a gear issue towards the grass section there. I think he also touched the penalty, so that certainly isn't helping. But Mimo, there you go, 57, a little bit better in that regard. 57.1 even. That was a much better time. And actually, Henkin also 57, so that was two really good times.
Yeah, but Mimo's still very much in the driver's seat. 30 points clear, soon to be 33 points clear as he does cross 100. So, all things considered, if all things go perfectly, of course, he will be 1 point off of finalist by the time we get to the end of this map. And I mean, what a great way to just start your campaign. Just come out the gate swinging, show everyone else that you are the man to beat. As we do see Jaeger having some words with the light pole there.
Yeah, well, light pollution is a problem, and Jaeger is doing his service to keep the skies clear. But, I mean, up towards the front, Henkin actually keeping it to Mimo Jr. reasonably close. He's still like, quarter second, half a second behind, but that's decent. You can at least see Mimo in his sights right now. At the very least, that's more than we could say for the previous map, Mesosphere. But again, takes a little bit too much penalty there. You can see he's falling down by the 10th. Jaeger actually has to DNF, so that's going to be no points there. I don't actually know what the finish timeout is. We should check here. 15 seconds. Yeah, he was definitely further behind than that. So unfortunate there for Jaeger. But I mean, hey, try your best. Another 57 low and a 58 low for Henkin. Just three different tiers right now in terms of performance from these players, but we're going on to the last round here of Ironclad. If my math is correct, caster math, don't hold your breath, but clock is right. Broken clock is right twice a day.
The clock is right. I was going to say, I hope the clock is right at least several times today.
Henkin.
No, this should be the last one. Henkin, very early mistake, so that does give Jaeger a P2 for the time being. The gap right now, we'll see what it is as Henkin gets to the line, and it is going to be a respawn from Jaeger, so that gives Mimo so much room to breathe. Not like he really needed it anyways, to be completely honest. He had the whole atmosphere to work with. And we are seeing Jaeger starting to risk a little bit. He'll have to respawn once again. Mimo, though, absolutely cruising. There is nothing he's got to worry about. This is going to be one of, if not the easiest rounds that he has ever had to deal with. And through the checkpoints, it is going to be about 6 seconds, and he does put in a 56.9 right at the end. So he'll be 1 point off of finalist. Then it's Henkin, and I think Jaeger should have just enough to make. Oh, yes, he does. Just enough to make that risky fin. So after 12 rounds of play, folks, Mimo on finalist as we get ready for, I gotta do math, our fourth map here. For the first round. We are getting on to your screens here on 9.
How are we gonna pronounce this one? This is the it's like Monet, I believe.
Monet, something. It's Norwegian.
It's Norwegian for moon, I believe. Look, you put two Americans in the caster booth, you give them a Norwegian name, we have like a 20% chance of getting it right, but I'm pretty sure Google Translate did not lie to me. And it is Monet. Any Norwegians in chat, feel free to correct us there. But either way, this map is pretty brutal. If you like precision, you're going to love this one. If not, then it's better like next time. But something tells me Mimo Jr. would like to finish it out really fast. Ignore his warm up. He's just chilling in the scenery of the map. But hopefully that is not continued coming into the first round and potentially the last round for his upper bracket round one.
Yeah, he'll want to just get this over and done with. Let these guys sort of suffer with the precision, like you said. As there is a
mistake.
Touch. Mimo finally making a mistake here. It's only took math 13 rounds, but he is coming back quite easily. Henkin really starting to get risky here, and the wet wood I think is actually kind of interesting without the reactor boost, because we see it so much with reactor that we see Henkin.
Nah.
Little too much risk and not so much of a reward. Mimo says, thank you very much, I will take that. You were not using it. And he should have a pretty easy time, as Jaeger has to release quite a lot throughout the wood section, almost 2 seconds right now. But Mimo clawing his way through, rounding the bends of the wood, and we are getting to the finish. He'll go into the jump, and Mimo speed running his first round here. 13 out of 13, absolute perfection. That just leaves Henkin and Jaeger left. So Mimo will go back to the pits for a well-deserved break, as we see from the two remaining drivers who goes up into the next round and who has to unfortunately settle for loser's bracket.
All things considered, the fact that Mimo is able to drive a 59.5 with a crash is pretty impressive. Yeah. World record here is a 58.1, so it's not like he was close to that, but I mean, we're not expecting that. He crashed in the very beginning part of the map. And I think the pressure just got to Henkin, because Mimo was like slowly creeping up. He's like, oh no, I have to risk if I'm going to deny him whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, this map is pretty brutal. I don't think it's quite as hard, personally, as Mesosphere. It's just precision, more or less. But there's a lot of different kinds of precision. You saw the wet wood previously. You can lose a lot of speed there without realizing it. I mean, right now you can see Jaeger just falling further and further behind Henkin, just cruising on through. It's still going to be a while before he gets out of this match one way or another. But, you know, he's hoping for sooner than later 88 points. So he's got, like, the rest of this map, and I think a little bit of the next one before he even gets finalist. Did he just... No, okay, he did not miss the finish. I thought he did there. He bounced a little bit weird, but we're good. We're solid. No more major mistakes that are going to change up the standings. You know, all's good for now.
All's well that ends well. So Henkin will take his first 10-pointer of this match. Jaeger, not the first time he's gotten 7. He's done it before, so he's glad to do it again. But right now it is currently 44 points that separates the two, and for Jaeger, he needs an absolute miracle run if he wants to stay in upper bracket. And right now that's looking a little bit tricky. It's I'd say a bit of a gap right now between these two, as Jaeger decides to open up the gap, clipping the platform piece. It won't lose him too much time, but Hank ping-ponging. Jaeger's now in the lead. Okay, he's had the lead here and immediately throws away. I'm so sorry.
I don't even think that counts as a caster curse. It didn't last long enough. It was just a brief,
I think I'm good.
Brief, fleeting dream. Jaeger, unfortunately, had victory in his sights, but the jaws of defeat just clasped down on his hopes and dreams, Henkin, keeping it clean.
It's like when you hunt a map and you you don't have your HUD on, and then you turn it on, you see you're up by like 0.6, and then you immediately throw it away in the next corner, even though you have time to set up for it. So yeah, Jaeger just DNFs. I think he might have had some more mistakes, wasn't able to actually get to the finish in time. So that puts Hank up to 108 points, doubling Jaeger's 54.
Yeah, it's looking a little bit one-sided, let's be honest here, folks. But I mean, hey, we can cheer on Jaeger to put on as good of a show as he can thus far. The drift's just a little bit less cleaner, the turn's a little bit less sharp, and that's just bleeding time left and right. But I mean, again, this first round, not really expecting too many close matches. Maybe there will be like one match towards the middle of the standings where you have two people seated right next to each other. But I mean, for this one, it was pretty cut and dry who was the favorites and who were the underdogs. And in this case, Jaeger was the underdog. So he's got an uphill battle to face, and he's like 6-7-ish seconds behind. A pretty evil split there. But Hank just chilling. It's in his lane. and he's going all the way to the finish, nice and clean. See what the time is, 59 something, 59.8. Not terrible, not incredible, but it works.
Yep, and that's 3 tenths behind what Mimo put in, and that's with Mimo's mistake. So, that's if that doesn't show you how quick Mimo is compared to these guys, I really don't know what will. But we are going into the next map here. Hank with that 118 points to his name. So really, it's just going to be one more round until he hits finalist, and then it's going to be Jaeger having to do so much extra work. But we are going on to Blonde for our 5th map here. Thoughts on this one, Acronator?
In my opinion, this one is the easiest to finish, but the hardest to master, right? And that, to me at least, is sort of like Author Time's mapping style. He likes to make it a bit simpler in concept to drive. There's even a full speed section in this map. Josh did have the world record up until this morning when Nako decided to get a world record back after Richie had sniped his on a different map. But it's more like what I would call kitchen sink speed tech, as you saw in the brief warm-up. There's just like a lot of every kind of speed tech, and then there's the brief full speed section. So like, if you're good at high speed maps, if you're good at carrying momentum, you're going to find a lot more time over your opponents. But this one is less about losing time and more about just gaining it over your opponents, getting the good speed slides, getting the good drifts, pretty much all that.
Yeah, we see that a lot, especially in full speed, where it is important to have, like you said, that building of momentum. And you can do it here, but, you're just minimizing mistakes here. Right now, Jaeger is on the back foot, about a second right now, as Hank getting into that first speed slide section. Full speed, as we talked about, and then it's immediately onto the penalty grass, so you're right down, get you into 4th gear before you hit the hairpin. But this has been an excellent round right now for Hank, as he's grown the gap a little bit. Jaeger
crashes
only 3
fully.
seconds. Yep. And we're not going to go straight. We're going to take a quick left. We're going to take a little bit of a detour, grab the last checkpoint, and then we'll be granted the ability to go into the finish. And Hank now on finalist. And Jaeger crosses the line. Will not get the risky finish, but that's okay. A safe finish is right there. So one round potentially for us to watch here before we say goodbye to the trio. Although maybe this is where Jaeger just locks in.
Possibly, but I wouldn't hold my breath if I were you. Now, interestingly, Hank just drove, I think, like 200ths slower than the author time. World record is a 102.4, so there's a lot of time to gain here, right? This is probably the most attainable author time if you're looking to hunt any of these maps. Ironic given the mapper, but I mean, hey, whatever works. And right now Hank is pretty far in the lead, so it's working pretty well for him. Jaeger getting a little bit of a gear issue there, as well as a wall issue, so he's getting acquainted with the wrong side of the track. Hank just keeping it clean, coming into the penalty section, not getting anywhere close to the walls, so he's nice and easy. And I mean, he's got like close to 3 seconds difference between him and Jaeger, actually a little bit more now, so he's just going to be driving nice and easy. A little bit of a fake out there. Again, we're not going straight into the finish. I always loved that little fake out. I thought it was hilarious the first time I saw it. And Hank just needs to get clean into the finish. Could even take the safe if he wants to, but he won't. 104.3, not the fastest time in the world, but it doesn't have to be, because it's the fastest lobby right now. That's all that matters.
And it's enough for him to get through into the next upper bracket round. Jaeger, unfortunately, will have to go into the loser's bracket. Maybe we'll see him again later. Maybe we won't. We'll just have to wait and see what the hands of time tell us. One thing I did notice right at the start with that penalty sand section, Hank got a massive boost off of the drift. I don't know if you caught that, but it was like it was close and then he was gone. So that is, I think, probably the earliest spot you can really start to build an advantage over your opponents. And yeah, we saw that with just how Hank was able to close that one out absolutely flawlessly. So we'll be getting ready for our next match here. I'm not certain which one it is just yet, but we will get that, of course, here hopefully in a moment. But thoughts overall with this match? I'm not too surprised. Mimo did what Mimo did, and it was up to Hank to kind of hold off Jaeger.
Yeah, pretty much. I think the results, especially for those first, I'd say like 2, maybe 3 rounds, are going to be a little bit more predictable once we get towards the later portions of today, and especially hopefully into tomorrow. The matches are going to be less and less predictable because it really more depends on who shows up at the time, right? All of those players at the higher level are, I don't want to say unpredictable or inconsistent, but it really depends on like who shows up amongst those players, right? And everyone has the potential at those later rounds to show up. So for now, again, I think we're going to be seeing a little bit more predictability. I'd love to see a dark horse. I love that kind of story, but for now, I think we'll be heading off to a short break while we wait for the next round. So don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are just about ready to get into the second round of the upper bracket here for the Gravity Break hosted by Nine Moons organization. And, well, Legion, I think we have a pretty interesting match ahead of us here. We got 4 players this time around, not 3. So we will still be playing for the top 2, but let's talk about some of these players.
So we're going to be spectating. It is Joey, Ratchet, Toast, and Andy. I was looking through sort of the standings here as we were getting ready for us to come back. Ratchet right now sitting 4th in the rankings overall on hunting wise, just behind Richie, Nako, and of course Josh up at the top. So I'm really expecting the battle of the midfield, if you will, from Joey, Andy, and I just forgot the other one because I have the memory of Goldfish. So, Toast Me, thank you.
He's the only American in the lobby.
Yeah,
you gotta
he is.
remember his name.
Absolutely. No, it is going to be. I think it's going to be those 3 kind of trying to see who gets P2. I didn't see Andy on the hunting ranks, but that's fine. Maybe that's one of those, dark horse type things that we've been talking about. I think if anything, this will be cakewalk for Ratchet. I don't think we're gonna have to worry about him.
Yeah.
For the other guys though, I think it is gonna be sort of that bloody battle for P2. I don't know who it's gonna be. I could say Joey, but I kind of want to go with Toast just because of the whole, he's also an American, so I might as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Toast Me, at least in terms of the NCSA region, which obviously we are very familiar with being, residents of that. He's pretty good, right? I think in recent times he's been grinding out a lot. I don't know how much he's grinded for Gravity Break, but I know he's been playing a lot with Jampy, another extremely high caliber NCSA player from the same state, North Carolina. If you see the tag NCTM, that's what it stands for. So I think Toast Me could be a little bit of a dark horse depending on like what his seeding was. I don't know the exact seeding other than Ratchet is the highest seed in this lobby. But I'm also, as an American, not super familiar with Joey and Andy. So I don't know really what to expect, but I guess we don't have to wait super long because the match is going to be starting. Warm-up should be, starting right now, the final warm-up, and then we're going to be getting into it. Starting off on Ironclad this time around, so the map rotation changes just a little bit.
Still on that 120 point.
Oh yeah, that'll be all
limit.
Day today until tomorrow. Yep. The later rounds of tomorrow.
Yep. So if we look at the lineup, because we can talk about who we think is going to be first, and I think we all know the answer to that one.
Yeah.
But who do you think is going to be second? Who is your pick, Mr. Acronator?
Again, I'm not familiar enough with Joey or Andy to really say for certain. I know Toast Me is pretty darn good, but I'm going to have to see a couple of rounds before I can really give a super good prediction of that. Otherwise, it's just going to be the American bias coming out, which, I mean, it's kind of a given for now.
Yeah.
give it a round or 2. I need stats, man. I need numbers.
That's fair. I would go with Andy as someone who is part of Split. I kind of have to. He's team. I have to support him. So I'm going to go with Andy just because of that. Of course, he is
not because he's currently fighting Ratchet very close.
Right? No, definitely not because of that. No, I'm using my own personal biases here for once. Unlike some people, I mean, I could say Toast Me, but I didn't see him, or I didn't really count him.
We certainly don't see him right now. Let's be fair. He's in 4th place, so.
I mean, I don't see him as much of a threat right now as Ratchet's all over the place. Andy, though, doing a great job of keeping it in the lead right now. Overcomes a gap right now, about quarter of a second right now, as Ratchet's getting a little bit shaky there towards the end, and Andy will draw first blood here, a 57-3 on Ironclad. So Ratchet not having the same sort of speed run that we saw with Mimo, but of course, different caliber of player means slightly more unpredictable rounds.
I still want to see at least like the remainder of this map before I give a proper prediction, but if that round is anything to go off of, I think Ratchet and Andy are just going to be the two quick in and out first, second. Toast with a very weird line to start there, and it gained him a little bit of position in the start, but I mean, he lost all the speed, so obviously that is not the line. I'm not sure if he plays with Ghosts on or, HUD on in general. Some players, especially in NCSA, like to play without that HUD. But, yeah, he's falling pretty far behind. The Europeans in the lobby, though, so far, keeping it somewhat close. Never mind, Andy. I wasn't looking at him, so it doesn't count as a caster curse. It's the player's responsibility to get their tinfoil hats on. We gotta talk. That's what we do, folks. But right now, Joey and Ratchet up towards the front. Toast a little bit behind, and Andy still recovering from that crash.
Yeah, and it's very late in the map, too, so there's really not much of a chance of an overtake unless somehow into the finish Toast messes it up, which he won't. So Andy from first to fourth, he'll be at 13, Ratchet's at 17, Joey at 11, and it will be Toast with 7 points here. So we are seeing some very early mistakes come out. And yeah, maybe I called it a little too early on who I think is going to win, but I'm still going to stick with my guns. Ratchet, though, leading the way right now with 4 points as we get into our third round here of Ironclad. This is a very deep line for Toast, probably just to see his name at the top before somebody goes spearing off to the side. I think that was Ratchet, so Ratchet off the light pole again on the respawn, so he's very much out of this right now. Andy and Joey fighting over P1, but look at Toast keeping it incredibly close here from the North Carolina player, as Joey and Andy separated by less than a tenth through the checkpoint. A slightly better line for Andy. He's going to get a little bit more exit speed into this right drift. It's a light tap on the brakes that will see Andy up into P number 1. Joey fighting back a little bit, the German giving it everything he can, but we're almost dead even as we go through the checkpoint, and it will be Joey with that advantage onto the grass section, but he's going to make a touch on the inside, and Andy's going to come out the other side in P number 1. Does Joey have enough speed to make the risky? Yes, he does. So does Toast, and Ratchet should have just enough time to get to the end, but what a round from those two.
Tragic ending there. Tragic ending from Joey, but really good performance all around. That was a great round to watch. And interestingly enough, Ratchet is not in first place in the points. We thought this was a given. Like, he was just going to run away with it, give the Mimo Jr. treatment. Again, Toast, that is not the line. That is not the line. It will never be the line. It's funny to see it go flying up into first place very briefly, but if you're listening to stream, don't do the line anymore. But yeah, no, we have everyone surprisingly in a pretty close formation right now. I mean, just about a quarter second separating everyone. A little bit more now that the first drift is gone. Some players are just better at tech, and as it turns out, shocker, Ratchet is probably the best at the drifting mechanic in this game. Ratchet avoids too much airtime. Toast me in third place, fighting off Andy in last, who is not really gaining all that much. In fact, actually losing a little bit of a funky line there in the grass, so he'll fall even further behind. Coming into the final approach, Ratchet looks to overtake, but can't quite. Just under 700s separating them, but Joey is going to maintain that first place spot, and that'll actually put him ahead of Ratchet. Ratchet in third place in the points, I believe. Or no.
No, he'll be in second.
Andy will fall. Yes, okay. This is weird right now. Minus Toast Me, the points are super funky.
Yep, it is. I'm very excited that we have a close match, and this early on too, especially with Toast. I think that very weird opening line that we saw, but it sort of worked out in the end because he was able to stick with the pack. So having Joey, Ratchet, and Andy separated by 2 points here as we go into Goldilocks zone for our second map. From Tech 2, I'd say it's something a little bit more spread out in terms of play style. Yeah, this is gonna be hard to call, especially because, like you said, we expected Ratchet to kind of just walk in, do his thing, and have 40 points by now, but he's only got 27, and he's not even in first.
Yeah, granted, first, second, third are all within 2 points of each other, so hard to really call that one. But like you said, Goldilocks Zone is more of a mix map. Not too much tech, very long turns, just like one drift that's notable towards that like long uphill right hand turn. If you can avoid releasing or tapping the brake on the uphill, you can gain quite a bit. But other than that, I mean, Ratchet's just going to have to outskill these players. And right now, it looks like Joey's maintaining his lead. The points in the overall leaderboard determining the positions in this round to start things off. But Ratchet doesn't want to give up those extra 3 points without a fight. Takes a little bit more of an inside line. Will do well. Jesus, Ratchet. The paint was thicker on his tires, but never mind. The bounce decided that the paint shouldn't matter. Ratchet falls down to third place. Toast very far behind by Andy and Joey. Currently battling it out for that first place spot. Actually, Ratchet looking to overtake for second place. At the very least, I don't know if first place is really in his sights realistically, but time will tell. Joey, a little bit of a bounce, but doesn't lose too much because of it. However, second and third place are on his tail. Here comes the all-important uphill right-hander. Joey maintains just barely, and coming into the risky, will anyone fail it? Joey will not. Ratchet almost overtakes. And a 108.3, not bad. 0.8 behind the world record, but I mean, we can't expect to see world record every single time, as funny as it would be.
No, that would be something. I mean, it's probably going to be someone else that does it. Although I am keeping hope that it is in this match, but 7 points separating first from third, and then Toast kind of off just on his own little adventure, if you will. But if we're keeping rounds as close as this throughout, I think it will be hard to tell who goes through to the next round of upper bracket and who actually goes to lower bracket. And then, talk about the possibility of these guys getting mixed in with some of the other drivers. Will those rounds be even closer, or are we going to see some gaps starting to form? And speaking of gaps, there aren't really any to be sought after here on the second round of Goldilocks. It is, though, Ratchet and Andy right now fighting it out for P1. Joey in pursuit, and Toast Me falling off the pace a little bit. But right now it is sort of a German sandwich. I don't think they're too known for those, especially with some Spanish fillings. But Joey will mess up that drift on the uphill, so that does leave just Andy and Ratchet right now battling it out for P1. About 3.5 as I think Andy got a little bit squirrely there. He's gonna lose. He's gonna act double up just about his gap right now, as that long right up-hander as wide as he can to get all the speed possible. Andy will close the gap a little bit before it opens up again, but Ratchet going into the finish, a 107.9 for him, 0.6 ahead of Andy, but some critical points to push Ratchet back up, not in the lead, but tied with Joey at 41.
Again, the points are all over the place right now. There is now 1 point separating first and third. Toast Me, again, just happy to be here. Honestly, I'm proud of him for getting to the second round of the upper bracket, as it were. But yeah, no, he's very much the... Who just died? Was that Ratchet?
I think that was Ratchet. That was Ratchet that just died.
Brother, I wasn't even talking about you. You gotta at least wait for me to curse. Either way, Joey and Andy, 1 point separating the two of them, and a couple milliseconds at that for this round. Toast also in, well, just outside the swing of things, really. That one drift kind of killed him there, but coming into the plastic section with the reactor, Andy gets a little bit more speed out of it, but Joey doesn't want to hold his hand too much. He will fall a little bit further behind. Andy maintaining that lead for now, but anything can happen coming into this. Andy getting dangerously close to that little circle at the hole there, but will not clip, refuses to let go. So does Joey coming into this last turn. Both of them seem to have a pretty good line. Joey a little bit shaky towards the end. They're going for a different approach. Who will be faster? I think it's going to be Andy, and the position's maintained, but that was a great push from Joey.
Absolutely. He wanted it all right at the end. He knew he could get a little bit more speed. I saw on the uphill, that right-hander uphill, he went a little bit wider, he got a little bit more speed, so he was able to close in on Andy just a little bit. But Andy will take over that top spot with 50 points, then Joey at 48, and Ratchet, surprisingly, 44. Not, it's weird to kind of see what is the fourth place driver struggling this early on, and part of me wonders if maybe that's one of the points I talked about earlier of, not really showing your hand this early. Maybe Ratchet's saying, okay, I know what the pace of these guys are. I understand that, I can't really take it easy, but of course I can afford that luxury if the stars align. And right now we are seeing a fantastic start there from Ratchet, already a couple of tenths ahead of Andy and Joey, who are battling it out for P2. But Ratchet maybe is going to start turning on the heat a little bit just to guarantee that next upper bracket round appearance. Again, early, but it's definitely in the cards for him as he leads 3 tenths right now. Joey's fallen off of Andy, and then Toastme kind of just on his own here.
Yeah, you do have Andy slowly gaining a little bit on Ratchet, but I don't think there's enough track really to make a difference as long as Ratchet doesn't crash or something like that, which, who knows, caster curses have happened before, but Ratchet looks clear.
Oh my...
No way!
something
shot.
caster curse, something.
Brother, you gotta put a dream catcher next to your monitor or something. You gotta get rid of the voodoo magic because you're in Germany. I'm over here on East Coast United States. That's impressive. That's like a distance record for me, okay? Like,
oh my god.
Like, brother, he flew so high. Like,
he did.
I was not expecting that. To be fair,
I don't think he was expecting that.
No, he bounced into the safe finish, which was funny, but unfortunately for him, the second place driver was so close to him that it just didn't matter at that point. But at the very least, this map is a little bit less shenanigans, more just fast driving, right? Although, to be fair, Andy and Joey have been driving very fast thus far. So, I mean, we'll have to see. Again, Ratchet looks like the last couple rounds there, he wanted to flip on that switch and say, okay, playtime's over, but still struggled. So it might be like just a out of practice thing. Maybe he had some bad warm-ups coming into today. Maybe he had some warm-ups coming into this match. Who knows? But I mean, he, out of 80 possible points from, the 4 rounds of those last 2 maps, he's only out with 51. That's a lot less than what we were predicting coming into map 3.
Yeah, but keep in mind, Andy's got 9 points on him, and Joey is just ahead of him by 1. So to see how Blonde goes down will, I think, set the precedent a little bit more here, as we are seeing a very early mistake from Joey on the drift, so he'll have to respawn. That'll promote Toastme up into 3rd, but the front 2 right now, as we get into the full speed section, it is going to be Andy and Ratchet right now. I think Ratchet has just a little bit more speed, a little bit more experience on full speed. Those speed drifts coming in key there to keep the split player behind, but we are going to grab a little bit of a reactor boost here to keep things as stable as possible, and we will go for a little bit of that reroute as we saw a quick dip to the left as we drift through the final corner. Ratchet's gonna run wide. He's not gonna touch the wall. He's got a little bit more speed, and somehow he holds on to P1 to get it to 61. Andy's gonna have to settle second with 67, but wow, what a risky line by Ratchet. I thought he was gonna touch the wall.
I thought he did touch the wall briefly because he got so close he had to oversteer to correct. He lost just enough speed to almost lose first place there. That was really dicey for Ratchet, but a much needed 10 points regardless. So I guess you just take that round. Maybe don't get so close to the wall next time, but who am I to say, because he won it and he's, a million times better the player than anyone in the caster booth. Let's be real here. But
yeah.
I guess Ratchet
think it's
just
also
needs to take a moment, breathe.
Yep. I mean, I feel like Ratchet probably saw the splits and saw just how close Andy was to him and realized, you know what, I gotta push this so much more. And he almost hits the wall there. And I saw Andy having to release as well. Joey, full speed though, hasn't had to lift at all. But Ratchet still holding on to P1 as we go through the penalty grass. Oh my god, Joey, yeah, I was about to say, he's got that one locked down. He does pull in a little bit to Ratchet, but not enough to overtake. But right now it is Andy who does get the advantage because Joey clips the wall at the end of the engine off section, so that's going to absolutely dilute the speed he could have had. Ratchet very comfortable in P number 1, drops a 102.8 into the pot, and that will be Toastme actually overtaking Joey at the end. So we are starting to see Ratchet close back up onto Andy. 3 points separate them. Joey, this might be the map that he struggled on with the most.
Yeah, he's starting to fall a little bit further behind, and that tends to happen with tournaments like this where the maps can be so dramatically different. There's just that one map that if it hits at the wrong time, it just screws you over real
Yep.
bad. And right now, he's now in third place. He was fighting for first just at the beginning of this map. Andy, however, sitting pretty in that first place, but Ratchet slowly climbing his way up. Even if those two get first, second, Ratchet is in that first place position for this round. That's a tie then for the overall points. Right now, those two are now fighting for first. What was that line, Ratchet? Where did he come from? He went from like point 0.1 behind to almost point 0.2 ahead. I don't know where he found point 0.3, but he does, and that was disgusting. I don't, what has happened? He just appeared.
The skeleton appears and unfortunately looks a lot like Ratchet. As Andy's had to settle. I was fully expecting Andy to get a 10-pointer here, and Ratchet decides to just dash any hopes against the rocks like he does. But this was a very good round across the board, though. We saw Toast in those last few rounds really struggling to get anything going, but he has recovered nicely and only finishes about a second and some change behind first. But we are tied 81-81, Ratchet and Andy right now. Joey is falling further and further back as this map continues on with 62, and then Toast kind of just by himself right now, as he's had to settle for 40 points. But I mean, what a duel we've seen between Andy and Ratchet, though. These guys are, I would say, if we see them together again later on in the tournament, we are going to be seeing quite a lot of fireworks with these guys.
Quite possibly. But for now, Joey looks a lot cleaner than he has in rounds past. Let's see if he can maintain that through the FS section. Is quite a different skill set compared to anything else in the map pack right now. But currently, Andy still pulling up the rear of those top three. Almost
So
oversteer. He
close.
got so close to clipping there. Joey currently maintaining that second place position. And I don't think Andy's catching up anytime soon, and especially with that awkward wood entry. Ratchet sitting pretty in that first place, gets close to the wall once again, but I think that's just his line. A nice clean
Joey!
102.8. What happened to Joey? What
Joey!
happened? It was
He went
going
for the
so
risky.
well.
I think you saw it there as he went into the risky. You try to cut it as close as you can, get off that beam as quickly as possible, and he just went right into the side a little too early for the risky Finn's liking, so that will unfortunately demote him down to P2. But we move on to Mesosphere. Ratchet leading Andy by 3 points, 91-88. Then it is Joey 65, Toast Me at 44 points.
No.
Would we have predicted this, Acronator? I mean, really think about it. I know we got the joking predictions, but could we have predicted it to be this difficult for Ratchet to get in the lead and actually put on a winning performance? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't have
expected it.
Dude is
fourth place overall seating wise. Like there was no reason to believe that it would have been this close between him and Andy currently, and previously Joey was in the mix as well. Who knows what this map could bring, because again, personally speaking, I think Mesosphere is the hardest, at least for me in my skill set, but it is definitely, I'd say, like the oddball map of the bunch, right? It has a lot of those weird transitions, a lot of weird skills and techniques. Plastic Sausage is not a very common block set, especially not in like competitive maps like this. I feel like it's only starting to get adopted into maps like Mesosphere. So we'll have to see if this falls in line with what Ratchet is good at. Right now, it seems to be pretty well, and I mean, the rest of the field isn't too far behind him, so everyone seems to be surviving well enough. Actually, no, now I say that, Joey must have crashed and Toast Me. I don't know if he crashed, but he definitely fell further behind Andy. Still bringing it to Ratchet, but he's trailing by about a 10th.
Yeah, I think Toast for his gap right now is just it is skill related. It's not to be, rude, but yeah, he is a bit outclassed compared to Andy and Ratchet right now. As we do head onto that grippy wood section, Ratchet's still ahead though, and I think he will have quite an easy time getting in first. Joey, he messed up on the Plastic Sausage as you were talking about it. Yeah, it is a relatively newly adopted surface. I know in other competitions that especially ones that I've casted, I have seen more of the Plastic Sausage, and even in things like Cup of the Day, I think mappers are starting to incorporate that a little bit more. It is, of course, a custom block that you do have to grab off of Item Exchange, but even still, it's starting to come into an element a bit more, and I think it's been especially popular with the light reactor boost down, because it lends itself a lot better. It gives you more speed with the same grip, but for some reason you don't like understeer. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but these drivers have made it work. And Ratchet with a wall touch, that'll put him into third place, possibly even fourth, as Toastme gets an overtake, but Toastme will just tag the wall on the grass section. So a quick recovery, and Joey's slow as well. So Ratchet right back up into second, hunting down Andy. Little bit more than 3/4 of a second separate these two, but we are getting to the end here, and it will be Andy leading the way. Yeah, Ratchet doesn't have a chance in the world at getting that. So he'll be at 108. Andy's at 105. 72 for Joey and 51 for Toastme. This might be another map that we see Ratchet struggling on.
Possibly, yeah. Although he's struggling a lot less compared to those first couple of maps, Ironclad and Goldilocks Zone, where he seemed to, really struggle to differentiate himself from the field. Now he's, first, second pretty consistently thus far. And Ratchet got really close to the light pole there, but managed to survive. Currently fighting it out with 2 more for that first place position. Toast about half a second behind Ratchet, avoids the wall this time, and beautiful lack of airtime there. Pulls himself, 2/10 in the lead? We'll see with this next split. 3/10 even. Okay, Ratchet just flexing on him, decided, you know what, we'll give him a couple of maps. If they don't win by then we turn it on, because he's definitely fighting much harder than it felt like he was. He found his comfort zone, and he's just chilling in it right now. He sends a little bit too hard, flies off. Free points. It's free real estate. Ratchet should be able to still get third place, but yeah, that's what I meant earlier in the first round of the upper bracket when I said you can send that wood section. That is very much what I meant.
Well, you sent it a little too hard there, son. So Ratchet's gonna fall down into P2, 3 points behind Andy. He didn't really need to go that hard though. He had a pretty healthy gap to P2, so that was just yeah. But if you're gonna do that, I'd expect it semifinals maybe, and you have a couple
Ratchet,
of tenths.
Every turn of his right now is just a heart attack on a stick, and he's in third place because of it. I don't know if he got a clip or he just had to release there. He might have just had to release because okay, that was a clip. Yeah, okay, he's falling down in fourth place. It's between Joey and Andy, by the way, for that first place spot. Joey going for some much needed 10-pointers.
Yep, and Toast is, funnily enough, fighting with Ratchet right now for P3 as Joey makes a mistake. Toast will get the overtake. He'll be in P2. This might be a very good opportunity for the North Carolina driver to get some critical points here, but Ratchet's coming back. He's going to have a slightly better line, but he's going to go wide. Andy gets first, and Toast! Toast grabs second away from Ratchet. Andy very happy about that. That's going to extend his lead over Ratchet, and he's over on to finalist. One more round potentially for the man from Split, but we are going to have to swap maps to see if that happens.
Oh no. What a ridiculous map. And that last round in particular, everyone just decided to send it, and we had if you took just a screenshot of the standings of that round, I don't think anyone would believe you otherwise. They'd be like, no, that's photoshopped. Because that's how ridiculous that was.
I know. That was
what a map.
I think out of all of them, I think that was one that Andy probably focused on a little bit more. You said it seems to be the hardest one for you specifically, and I think Andy might have shared that sentiment because while he did make some mistakes, I think he spent most of his time relatively up front. So he had some first. Ratchet, I don't know if Ratchet really practiced that much either. Same with Joey and Toast, as we do have that 5-point gap right now from Ratchet to Andy as we get ready, folks, for Monet. Our first round, potentially the only round that Andy will have to play here, but he has got 3 other drivers in about a minute to get to the finish line. Start, though, right now has been pretty successful, but Ratchet trying to put a stop to this.
In particular, of course, Ratchet is known as a supremely talented tech player. That's at least what I think of him for. This map is almost nothing but precision. I feel like this might be his best map. That's just a guess based on, nothing so far. But he's almost a quarter second ahead of Andy, who is fighting for his finalist chance. So maybe there's some merit to that guesstimate, as Ratchet is actually widening that gap even further. Goes for the inside line. I don't know how he didn't touch that pole, but you take that and you run with it because the finish is right here. I don't think Andy's overtaking unless Ratchet screws up the finish, but it's really not the hardest risky.
No, it's relatively simple. The only time I was really worried for Ratchet's safety was through the wood section. We saw it, I think, in the last match we covered, especially, is that wood is one of those surfaces that can absolutely ruin your round because of just how much turning you get out of it. It is interesting to watch these cars go from their usual turning radius on platform like this to actually going onto wood. Of course, that was added back when Nadeo was celebrating 20 years, and they added the snow truck into the game. So, of course, they had to include wood, which changed all wood physics, which broke some maps and made some other maps possible. But we have seen rounds decided by wood, especially when you get the tires wet. You have this weird sort of drift going on, but Ratchet has done a fantastic job of staying ahead. Toast made a mistake there towards the end of the wet wood section. Joey is poised to make
Andy.
an overtake. Andy having to respawn, and Joey completely overshoots it. Hold on.
Joey?
This might be Joey. He's got a drift. He's keeping it pretty clean, pretty precise, trying to maintain some ground contact onto the plastic. And Joey getting himself some 10 points. Ratchet settling for second. Andy's in third, and Toast, unfortunately, another fourth. What a twist there. What is going on?
GR, all around, golf
GR.
clap. But, I mean, that's exactly, GR, there you go, in the chat. But that's exactly what needed to happen. You had two finalists, you had to deny both of them. Otherwise, you start getting into really dicey territory if you're Joey and Toast, and Joey did exactly what he had to. Now, I noticed Andy was risking hard from the start of that previous round, so I figured he might be the one to crash, if anything, because Ratchet kind of played his hand in that first round. Ratchet, please, that is the end of the track, not where you're supposed to go. Joey, however, currently in the fray of things. It doesn't look like he's getting too much speed out of the wet wood. Actually does fall quite a ways behind from Ratchet, who I don't know how he can serve that much speed, but you take it, you run with it. As he currently is, he doesn't need to risk, but it's Ratchet. So far, he's proven that he likes to risk, and it's paying off. He's almost a quarter second ahead of everyone else. Deja vu to the first round.
Yeah, but he's got about a tenth and a half right now. Andy's trying to overtake Joey. Ratchet's still in the lead, but I think Ratchet's going to do it unless he bonks the finish, which he will not. Joey does, but it doesn't matter. He'll still make it through. Andy not able to close it out here just yet, but he is still finalist. Joey will not tick over 100 points just yet, and of course neither will Toast. So with Ratchet out of the way, I think Andy, this might be his round, because Ratchet really was the cork here in this bottle, and now with that thrown out into the backyard, I do think that we could be seeing the last round here, unless, of course, Joey has something to say about it.
Certainly, and actually just to answer a quick question from chat, although I believe chat is already answering it as I speak. I'm still going to say it because we're already on this tangent. Finalist just means the players have hit the points limit, which in this case is 120, and they need to get first place in a round after that to close out their finalists. We're playing until the first two finalists close out their finalist position. So in this case, Andy is the only one who can finish out this series, or Joey has to deny for like 3-4 more rounds in order to get 120 and close out. And currently, it's not looking too hot for him as Andy overtakes quite a lot more speed, and Joey crashing. Toast Me is nowhere in the conversation. Andy could probably crash and still make it a close round, but I don't think he really wants to, and there's not so much track remaining here, so he just needs to walk it in. Do not hit the triangle for the love of all that is Trackmania. There you go. 59.1. Good enough time, and that is going to be Andy and Ratchet going off to the upper bracket. Joey and Toast Me are going to be falling down into the lower bracket. They're not out of it yet, but they're going to have to be fighting for their lives from here on out.
Yeah, it's at this point for them, it's one and done. If they lose again, they are out of this tournament. But if they are able to keep it together, we could be seeing some recovery runs through the lower bracket, which we have seen plenty of times in Trackmania. Will not be the first, will certainly not be the last. But Ratchet and Andy, like you said, through to the next round. I was very surprised at how that went, that we did not see Ratchet just immediately sort of, throw the gauntlet down with 4 perfect rounds on that first map. Andy keeping it very clean, though, and I'm glad to say that my prediction was right for P2, so you know what? I will take that.
You take it when you can, and it definitely seems like, barring, Ratchet kind of sandbagging a little bit because he didn't feel very pressured, that even the top players right now have a variety of maps that they're really comfortable with, a variety of maps that they're not so comfortable with. But we'll have to see, because I'm sure we're going to be seeing more of Ratchet over the course of today and tomorrow. So we'll get a chance to study his methods a little bit more. But with that, we're going to be closing out the upper bracket round 2 and the lower bracket round 1 that was happening off stream. Maybe some POV perspectives from the players or the teams, the Orgas, whatever. But for now, I think we're going to be going to a short break while we wait for the next round to be starting in however long it takes for the rest of the matches of this round to finish up. So don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with what I would say is probably going to be one of the most exciting matches that we'll have today here for the 9 Moons competition. Elcon, Andy, Aris, and Josh, yes, number 1 ranked Josh, is in this lobby. We were talking about it during the break. I think we are going to be seeing quite a lot of close rounds here, especially with the likes of Elcon and Josh right now. You have a player who has proven himself time and time again that Czechia is not to be messed with. And then you also have the guy who is leading everybody in the point standings overall during the hunting session. But how well that actually translates to competition, I don't know, Acronator.
Yeah, it's really hard to say, right? We tried predicting Ratchet would run away with the previous round. He didn't. But now you have people who I guess are more consistent, at least in terms of Elcon. Like, he does like descend it, don't get me wrong, as we'll probably see here. Hell, he was even practicing the backwards strat on this map in the warm-up, waiting for Josh to get into the lobby. Anyways, but the map is finishable backwards if you're curious, folks. It takes about 30 seconds longer. But technically, it is there. I don't think we're going to be seeing it in the rounds, though. Currently, Elcon up in the lead with Aris and Andy. Not too far behind. Josh crashed somewhere along the line, so he's going to be a couple seconds behind. He's more or less out of this round, but Elcon looking to take the lead right now. Aris not too far behind, and Andy trailing a little bit, a few car lengths behind. But Elcon maintaining that lead. And never mind, he risked it a little bit too much, and the paint was thick enough on his tires to cause a clip there. He won't fall super far behind, but he will be relegated to 3rd, barring any shenanigans in the finish here. But no, Aris is going to take that nice and easy 10 points.
Easy split, too good from Elcon. I mean, as someone who's a part of it, I gotta support him. I would have predicted that Elcon would have been number 1. I think number 2, I could say Josh, but I think I would say Aris. Overall, player-wise, I know Aris does have sort of a skill advantage over Andy. Not to discount Andy, of course. He's very, very talented, but I think we could see Elcon and Aris going on to another upper bracket round. I think Josh may have a chance, but the times you put during the hunt are going to be a lot different during rounds, as we do see a touch coming in from the Elcon man himself. So he'll go down into 4th after finishing last round in 3rd, losing it right at the end. Andy's going to have a little bit of trouble on the dirt, so that'll put Elcon back into 3rd. Right now it is Josh and Aris right now fighting for P1. Josh with about 2/10, maybe a couple of car lengths right now as we head through the checkpoint. Only puts 1,000th of a second onto his gap, and we are getting closer and closer to the end here. One final wood section to go. I think Aris got the drift a little bit weird, so that will give Josh some breathing room, and up into the finish. You just have to avoid the arch on the left, which is pretty easy to do. Josh putting in a 58.6. Then it will be Elcon and Andy rounding out the final 2 positions. But we are seeing right now a lead for Aris starting to form 4/10 right now. Elcon, the man that we sort of expected to do well, running in last right now. Maybe Mane is not his map of choice.
Well, There is literally a map with a full speed section, so I'm guessing that Josh is waiting for that one to just bust out, the 0.5 lead randomly. But, speaking of Josh, we know him more as like the goated full speed player, right? He's the one who's always in the lead for the track of the day, full speed maps. He's always there. I've noticed him more and more recently playing in more like traditional competitions, but he seems to lack a little bit of consistency here and there. Right now, he's doing pretty well for himself, fighting for that first place spot with Elcon and Oris not too far behind. But he definitely has the pace, even in non-full speed styles. I'm curious to see how he's going to do in the map with full speed and speed tech, because it's kind of his bread and butter. It's basically a free win for him. It's kind of like putting Mika on ice, but right now Elcon fighting for that first place position. Is he going to be able to overtake? They tie, but Elcon had a better checkpoint split the previous time around. And Josh with the signature chatting. I don't know if it's on stream. I don't think so. I think Lorai smartly muted chat, or not, hid chat, because Josh, if you're not familiar, is quite the chatter.
Yep, for anybody who might be a bit confused with what Acronator said about better checkpoint, the way that ties used to work was name diff, so you would, depending on the first letter of the account name, so not the display name you see here like Josh, Andy, Elcon, Aris, say for example, your name started with Z when you registered it, but at some point you decided to go with A, the game would use that Z name before. Then Nadeo came in, they changed it so it was whoever had the previous checkpoint first, so that's why Elcon was able to win that one out in the end. Not very often that we see something like that happen. What we have seen is Elcon making a touch. It is Josh leading the way from RS. Andy right now getting an overtake on Elcon, so he will be Josh with the respawn. Okay, hold on. RS has another P1, and we will be seeing, could we be seeing Elcon at the end? Yes, we do. It would have almost been a split 1-2, but the split boys are split up by Elcon. Josh in the lead, having to respawn. The last section there, that last wood section, we have seen quite a few touches there on the inside wall to just throw you completely off course. So I can't say I'm too surprised that we saw it there, but what a round, what a recovery from Elcon, though, getting P2 right at the end.
I don't know if the stream caught exactly what happened to Josh there, but like he hit that final wood section and just like didn't turn. I don't know exactly what happened, but he like went between the two barriers. Like he literally perfectly threaded the needle between the two barriers to go off the track. And I saw it from RS's perspective. So I'm just like, huh? What happened? Why? The track is that way, not this way.
I don't know. Maybe it's a controller thing. I've been having some issues too sometimes where like my controller doesn't turn too much. I don't know if Josh is a controller or a keyboard player, but if he's on controller, I don't know. Okay, maybe it's a skill issue. I don't know, but
I have dashboard up. I can check.
Yeah, if you could, that'd be
he's controller. He's definitely controller.
I don't know. Maybe Nadeo changed something. Maybe it's just a skill issue. But we are here on Mesosphere once more.
Who knows?
You know what? Listen, sometimes some people, I'm not going to name any names, especially those that I know, sometimes struggle with left and right. I don't know, maybe he just forgot. It happens, but we are into the
first straight or left. He just didn't turn, period.
It was the secret third option that nobody tells you about, straight. But we are here on the first round, and Elcon is getting a lead. We had Josh in first, but just through that last little platforming section, he has gone down to fourth. That only puts him about a quarter of a second off the lead, though, and about a tenth and some change, now about 2/10 off of Andy right now. But into this plastic section, back onto the platform, we are getting into the wood. We have seen players send it and be absolutely thrashed against the wall for it. Ratchet was one of them. RS trying to get anything, but he was not able to overtake Josh. Elcon dropping a 54-29 there. 3/10 clear of second place Andy, so that'll put Elcon back in the lead with 35, ours with 34, and then Josh and Andy 27 and 24 respectively. Mesosphere, this might be the temporary equalizer before we go into our next map, Acronator.
I think equalizer for everyone but Elcon. He's kind of known as the guy who's just disgustingly
Oh,
good on these weird maps. Did someone just crash? I
that
saw
was
someone fly
Aris.
out. Yeah, I
That was
thought I saw
Aris.
someone just go flying in the wrong direction. But yeah, as I was saying, Elcon, I'm fully expecting to just run away with this. I mean, his time 54.2, that's 2/10 off of world record. So
Yep.
he set a pace, all right. And Josh, right now, doing pretty good to keep up despite a less than stellar previous round. He's losing a little bit in that one turn, but still maintaining. And Andy's not super far behind. RS, unfortunately, is just stuck all the way back in last place. And unless there's some major mistake towards the end here, I don't think anyone's going to be giving up position. Elcon sending it, not as hard as we've seen others in the past. Oh
No.
my
My
God.
God.
That is okay.
5409. I'm gonna check world record really
It's
quick.
0.081. So he's like
Why?
a hundredth away. He's like 0.013 off of world record. What is that? Or
Okay.
0.017 rather. But that's disgusting. I
That
know I
is
said he's good at these kinds of
insane.
maps, but like please, they have families.
That is absolutely, I mean, that is unbelievable, that kind of pace, especially it didn't really seem like he was, I don't want to say he wasn't trying, but it certainly came off like he was just, casually sending it. Yeah, that has just updated. Elcon is now ranked 2 on this map with that 098. So
Yeah, okay.
the official split to world record is 0.017. So he has to do better. If he gets a 0.08 and then nothing after that, he will have the world record. But my God, Elcon, could this be the one? He'll go into the finish. No, it's a couple tenths
No,
back,
it's
but
a little bit too slow, but still, that's a hell of a pay. Like that's a good time by itself, and then he just
yeah.
decided to pull out all the stops. He took the training weights off and just, yeah. Everyone else is not driving bad times, by the way, on this map. Like a
No.
54 anything is good. Elcon is just like driving world class level right now on this map.
I think
It's just insane.
he just looked in the cockpit. It's like, what does this button do? And it's like, oh, I'm almost world record. All right. I don't know. Maybe we see Elcon. I mean, the thing that we notice a lot, especially with competitive maps, not just here with Gravity Break, but also things like XP Evo, Trackmania World Tour, things like BDL. I know America's Draft League, especially, is you will have players that will set a time that they are satisfied with publicly, but then they will take the map into the editor and only train that way, so you don't see their true pace. Because of Elcon's time, that was his newest time. So I'm wondering just how much of pace hiding we're seeing from these players now, especially, and as we get later on, people will start to sort of open up a bit more as to what they are capable of. So maybe that is what Elcon is doing. Josh, Andy as well. But Elcon picking up that P165 points. He will start to grow a little bit. Josh starting to pull away from the boys in split. So we are getting a little bit closer to the climax of today, or of this match rather. Predictions, I mean, a little late for them now, but are we surprised
Yeah.
that Elcon is not as far ahead as we would have expected?
No, I think we're at the caliber of player now, because this is pretty far into the upper brackets, to be honest, that you're going to be seeing some of these players being able to take first places off of the top competitors like Elcon. So I'm not super surprised that the matches start to slow down now. It's not going to be that big of a stomp, even though Elcon is starting to differentiate himself. I still think Elcon's going to get first place. I think second place is more or less what you're seeing in the standings, where it's going to be close between Josh and Aris, because Josh is making a lot of easier, simpler mistakes, right? And has been very consistent, and he's been able to steal a lot of those points away.
Yeah, he's certainly made a claim for his spot, and of course with Josh also putting a bit of pressure, it has not given Aris the advantage he would have liked, and Andy, of course, has sort of been the weakest link here. But as we head into Ironclad for the first time, Elcon leading the way both in points and on track. Then it's Aris, Andy, and Josh. Josh having a mistake, so he's fallen off the pace just a little bit. As we get closer and closer to finalists, I wonder how much of a gap will grow between Aris Andy and Josh. I mean, right now between Josh and Aris, it is 5 points. So when you take out the Elcon factor and you put 10 points back into the available pool, we should see somebody start to come out on top, although I would not be surprised if we do see almost an exchange of P1s as Elcon drops a 56-9 on the first round of Ironclad. So that gives 7 points over to Aris. Then it's Andy, then it's Andy, then it's Josh. A point right now separating Josh and Aris, and 10 from the two split boys. So we are also we are seeing the fruits of the labor of the practice, if you will, with all these guys. I think Elcon has been doing a lot of the private practice and not really giving his opponents too many lines to work with.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you look at it, it feels like everyone else in the lobby is kind of adapting to the line, whereas Elcon has been pretty consistent with a slightly different line here and there. Currently in third place, but I mean, like, everyone's really close besides ours, kind of trailing up the rear, but it's only like 2/10 behind everyone. That's not unrecoverable, but he's going to need some mistakes or some really good lines like that, and suddenly everyone's back together. You know, Andy's falling a little bit behind, or actually no, that's Josh even. Andy's up fighting with Elcon for the lead. We're coming into the final approach of the map. Elcon, I don't think, is going to be able to lose that position. He has too much speed. And Andy will actually lose that second place position to Josh there just at the very end. Aris still relegated down to fourth place. 3 points will have to do, and Josh will separate a little bit more into that second place position.
Yeah, but Aris was probably not too happy with 3 points, dropping back onto 5 points of a difference. So he would have rather have gotten that second to overtake Josh, but that's just how the round went. Elcon right now, I just want to point out his time is about a 10th off of his personal best, so we could be seeing him getting a PB here depending on how these rounds go. But as we move forward, Josh and Elcon right now fighting it out for P1, and then it is Aris and Andy deciding over P3 right now. Josh is giving Elcon probably the most pressure he's given him so far here, possibly on Ironclad, as they're both going so close to the wall. How about that for some risk? And Elcon, a bit of a different line, will give him so much more speed, a little bit of air time that will give Josh, with his different line from 3 to 4 corners ago. You can see how that has played out as Andy is getting a little bit more speed here into the jump, but it will be Josh dropping a 56.91, a new best time here in the match. I absolutely loved that setup. Elcon and Josh, different entries to one corner, and how that played out all the way to the end. That just shows how important it is to make sure you have the best lines, and that while you can experiment with something different, you can't just think of how it's going to affect you into the next corner. You need to be thinking 3, 4, 5 corners ahead.
Certainly, and you could see there Elcon's line gave him just like the tiniest bit of airtime, and that's really what gave Josh that extra 10th in the lead here. This map in particular, I'd say like the gimmick almost is just avoid airtime. There's a lot of sausage, there's a lot of weird transitions, there's that plastic little bounce over the knife's edge towards the middle portion, and that's really where Elcon started to lose more time to Josh towards the end there. But yeah, I mean, now you're going to potentially be able to see it again right here is what I'm talking about. The knife's edge. Elcon avoids the airtime this time around, doesn't use his experimental line, takes a little bit more penalty, but Josh also seemed to ride his left side into the penalty. Is he going to be able to overtake? I don't think so. He doesn't quite have the speed, but it is close. 56.8. That's probably darn near close to his PB, and only about 3/10, give or take, off of world record. So another pretty solid time from Elcon there.
Well, Elcon's personal best was a 56.808, so he was just a little bit off. The other thing that's interesting when you do look at airtime is Elcon, without being able to contact the ground, was not able to get the car rotated a bit more compared to what Josh was, so that was also another factor that played into it. Yeah, he had too much speed. Yeah, he lost some speed, but not being able to actually rotate the car at all in the air is, I think, what probably sealed the deal ultimately. But you know what? Ironclad's behind us. It's on to Goldilocks zone for our next map. And looking at the standings right now, Elcon at 102. Then it's Josh with 75, Aris with 59, and Andy with 52. Do you think there is any chance for the boys from Split, or even Josh, to close up to Elcon and really put the pressure on him, as Elcon ideally probably only has a few rounds to finalist.
Yeah. And the thing is that Goldilocks Zone is also one of those weirder maps that I would generally prescribe to being in Elcon's wheelhouse. So, I don't think anyone's going to be able to really challenge him. I don't know if Aris or Andy are going to be able to challenge Josh at this point. The points separation there is pretty large for how tight these players have been to each other. So anything's possible, and certainly Elcon is going to grind down the wall right there. Not quite Tony Hawk Pro Skater, but, wrong game. It happens sometimes. Andy currently gifted a lead, and actually Josh, both front runners in terms of the points, are falling further down. Elcon trying to play catch up there. Andy just has to keep it clean, really, and that did not look like the cleanest drift ever. So Elcon's going to be gaining ever slowly like a shark in the water. He smells the blood. He's going to be pushing, hoping that Andy feels the pressure, doesn't quite have the composure to maintain first place, but there's only so much track remaining, just this one uphill. Elcon doesn't get the best entry into it, so he will lose a little bit of speed, and Andy just needs to maintain his line, get it clean into the finish. He does! That's a free 10 points, much needed. And RS and Josh will bring up the rear. I'm sure Josh would have liked to get to, a couple more points. He had a perfect opportunity with Elcon crashing very early on. Still came back, got 7 out of it though. So, it works.
Yeah, that was quite a clown fiesta of a round. But you saw just how quickly things can fall apart and how much of a disadvantage you can find yourself in if you do make a mistake as you get into the latter stages, really, of any tournament, when those exceptionally good players are rewarded and are a lot more prominent. But we are getting into the next round, as I think Elcon had a mistake, so he'll go into 4th, although Andy, Josh, and Aris, last round was a bit tricky for them, but this time it has gotten a lot better here. Josh, of course, this is where he failed last time, but he has made amends. But Josh right now holding off both Split players, and Elcon 3 seconds behind. So Elcon, unless all 3 of these guys make a mistake, as Andy has, I think he might be out of this. Josh is starting to run away right now.
Yeah, definitely. He's keeping it a lot cleaner. Really, it was just that plastic entry. I want to point out, it's weird for such a funky map with a lot of weird little transitions and techniques. Elcon's struggling, seemingly, at like the easiest, most simple parts. So I think he's just pushing that hard. Josh, however, will take advantage. Thank you very much, sir. May I have another? I'm sure he'd like quite a few more 10-pointers to potentially catch up to Elcon, because he's still not finalist. Actually, even if he won that round, it'd be at the dreaded 119. You need 120 to get finalist, and actually, Elcon needs first place this round, otherwise he's not getting finalist once again. And oh dear, Aris had a terrible start, clipped, so he's fully dead. He's out of the round entirely. It's 3 points, if any, if he can finish, that is. So it's entirely up to everyone else to try and deny Elcon just first place to prevent that finalist position.
Yeah, but even if they deny it in the next round, he will end up getting it. Ideally, if he gets, third, then he'll only get 4 points, and from there, if he gets last, he'll only get a nice handy-dandy 3. So there are multiple ways that he could get 119, but he would like to avoid that. Josh, though, is starting to make an argument against that. Andy has fallen off the pace. Elcon with the touch. That does give Andy second place, but we have seen Andy get very close to the wall there, and it has been him a few times, but thankfully not this time around, as Josh building that lead once again. Elcon is about 2.5 tenths behind Andy through the next checkpoint. It will be 2 tenths, so it has come down a little bit. He's had slightly better lines. Josh is going way too high, as he will scrape the spectator, and Elcon hitting the gate. And Josh, are you
so gets 119?
What is happening? What is this round?
The universe proclaimed that he would get 119, whether he wanted to or not. Oh dear. Well, he needs to finish the map, so it's that big of a deal for Elcon. But of course, you want to deny your opponents from getting too many points, especially Josh, because he's getting dangerously close there. I mean, he's only just shy of 30 points down, so you don't want to give him the opportunity to get finalist and then deny, his best Bill Clinton impression. And And from there, potentially even get first place as opposed to second, and that does determine which match you go into next for the upper bracket. So Josh currently looking to get that first place, but Elcon, beautiful bug slide, will take first place for the time being.
Yep, Josh, though, hot on his heels. He's not going to give it up that easily. About a tenth and a half through the checkpoint and through the next one. It will drop a little bit, but probably just due to line differentiation as he goes basically right back to where he was. Andy's fallen off the pace here just a bit. Same with RS, is sort of out of this round unless there are some pretty big mistakes. But on the uphill climb, it will be an inside line for Josh. Elcon goes a bit wider, carries a bit more speed. And as we go up into the finish, it will be Elcon getting 10 points. Not that that really matters. He will be on finalist, 99 to Josh, and then it'll be 80 and 76, Andy and RS. So Elcon could close it out. I don't believe on Goldilocks. We will have to go to the next map to decide if Elcon takes 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe more rounds to finally close things out. But it will be on.
Oh no!
What?
The map that I'm expecting Josh to do the best at. Now, crucially, Josh also has the potential to get 119 here if he wins two rounds, which would be hilarious for us, the spectators. Josh is the one who has to actually deal with it, but it's speed tech and a little bit of full speed. Methinks this plays into Josh's wheelhouse. Elcon's very good at really everything, but I'd say he has less of an advantage on this. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, the warm-up is just about to end, and we're going to get into it. And actually, I mean, just looking at the points overall, Andy and RS are not quite as far behind as they were previously. I feel like Goldilocks Zone kind of equalized everything more than previously. Even Elcon barely struggled to get into that finalist spot.
Yeah, he really had to fight there right at the end. So we'll see if that pressure is just enough for him to handle as we head into the first round here on Blonde, as it is quite a risky line there. Elcon, hello, coming back with it, but Josh does have more points. We are in the crucial fifth gear as we head into the full speed section.
Oh my God.
Elcon going very wide. Josh showing exactly why he is one of the best players on shift for full speed, and he will continue that lead. But Elcon coming back into it as we go onto the grass with the reactor engine off to slow him down. We go through the next checkpoint. Josh with a much tighter line that will benefit him greatly. Onto the wood, the little fake out to the left. He's got one more drift to go through. Can he do it? Elcon, with his best efforts, will not be rewarded as Josh dips into the finish line. 109 points to him. Elcon will be denied first time around with a 102.5. I just want to double check.
102.478 is world record, but Josh had world record last night, so I think he might be hungry right now to get his world record back. More than denying Elcon. He's like, no, Nako's not allowed to have world record on this one.
Yeah, 102.478.
That was clean.
Insane.
He gained so much time in the full speed section, like at least a tenth. Elcon gained it back afterwards from the penalty section, but you can see why Josh is one of the best full speed players in the world. He has so much speed right now. Elcon has a much more inside line, but it's very temporary. Josh actually had to release, so he might not gain as much on Elcon, who is looking to close out that finalist spot and deny Josh from getting too close himself. And Elcon had the better penalty section, but Josh actually keeps it about the exact same there, so nothing too crazy right now. Elcon had to go very wide in the reactor section last time around. Still goes quite wide. Josh actually equalizes a little bit, but Elcon maintains that lead. Is he going to be able to hold on to it? We do know that Elcon is known for risking, but it doesn't look like he's really sending it that hard. We've seen Ratchet risk harder than that, and yeah, sure enough, get in there, get out. 102.6 is not a shabby time whatsoever.
No, not at all. That's about 700ths off of what Josh just put in. So Elcon will go through to the next round with upper bracket. Josh will be at 116. So this round, unless he gets last, or actually, no, it won't matter. So he's finalist regardless. So that does leave Andy and RS with quite the task ahead of them, because you can't deny Andy finalists at this point. It's very difficult. It's impossible. However, they can deny him winning for as long as possible, and with that early mistake, that has put Josh behind, but we have seen how much speed he can carry. Yeah, don't count him out in the slightest. He knows this map inside and out. This has been his favorite. He is coming right back. He is. He's pulling up Aris. There's one split member dispatched, not through his own, but rather through someone else. Oh, Aris, come on, buddy. You could have gotten some extra points. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's like he's not even running on the penalty grass. It's like he's just on this grass. It's regular. It's whatever. Andy can't even do anything right now as Josh lays claim to first place, and they are going to go onto the wood, about 500ths between them. Josh will go for a slightly different line compared to Andy, but as we go into the finish, it will be 400ths of a second separating the two. Josh on to finalist. Andy, hell of an effort, but it just wasn't enough.
That was disgusting. He makes a mistake early on, finishes out still with a pretty decent time, all things considered, to get his finalists. And that, like, he didn't need those extra points. He just wanted to deny the 10, or I guess the extra 3 points. Pure aura farming in that one. I mean, we didn't even have author time in chat telling Josh, "You're welcome for the FS section." To be honest, he's pretty darn good in the speed tech sections as well. I mean, that's basically what this map is. And Josh, they're actually going for a much lower speed line, so he appears mortal. I mean, give it a moment, but you know, oh my god, what was that line? Okay,
he's admins. Can we investigate really quick? Yeah, can we see if he's using slow-mo hacks? Because it's like watching. It's like a completely different skill level on this, like, really just this map. Like it's like dropping a Div 1 Cup of the Day player into like Division like 15 and saying, "All right, have fun." But I think that'll do it. I don't think Andy has a shout as Josh comes up and over, and that'll do it. Josh will finish up second. Both boys from Split. A 102.72. He puts the flag and says, "There it is, boys. Give me second place." But Jesus, how about that from Josh?
Yeah. You know, we talk about Alcon and Josh quite a bit, but I kind of feel bad for everyone else in the lower bracket who now has to face Andy and Aris, because they did not play bad. It's just that, you know, they ended up facing two like really high caliber players. So I think they just got the short end of the stick there. But I would not expect Andy and Aris to go out in the lower bracket too soon. I'd imagine we're going to see them make it probably even into tomorrow for the lower bracket. I wouldn't be too surprised at that.
Yeah, they've shown that they are forces to be reckoned with. They're not quite Elcon Josh level, but like you said, they are definitely probably going to go on a tear when they get to that lower bracket. But speaking of lower bracket, folks, we are going to take a short break here. When we get back, we will be going into the losers bracket. We will start to see some eliminations be permanent this time around. But folks, get up, get a drink, water, bathroom, I don't care, whatever you got to do. But most importantly, keep it locked, because we'll be back in just a few.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you got any snacks and water that you'll need, because we got 2 more matches to close out today before we get ready for tomorrow. And we're going to be following the lower bracket from now on. So this is for all of the marbles, their tournament lives. We're going to be following match number 1 for lower bracket round 4, round 3. I forget which round this is, but either way.
3.
Yes, you're right. That is round 3. It's going to be Yek, Peb, Rookie, and Toast Me. Predictions real fast. Let's see. Got a little bit of bias in me. I got to say Rookie's going to make it through. And
yeah,
I know Yek is very good at the game, so I'm going to go with him. I'm not familiar with Peb. I could be entirely wrong. I know that Yek and Rookie are probably more consistently fast than Toast Me, so those are my predictions, Rookie and Yek.
Yeah, I might have to agree with you on that one. Peb, I've seen occasionally. I haven't seen too much of him, to be completely honest, and Yek is about the same. I mean, just in general, and then of course the competition is the first time I'm seeing everybody except for Toast. Obviously, we saw Toast a couple rounds ago. So yeah, I would say Rookie. I would say I'm gonna say Rookie and Toast. I'm just gonna be different. I'm gonna be different in that regard, but
has to be contrarian.
Yep, you know me, but we'll see how all this plays out as we get into our first round here on Blonde. 120 points, still the limit to get to with finalist mode, and then from there, 2 drivers will move on to the next round. 2 drivers will unfortunately have to bow out, and we'll have one more match after this that will set the stage for tomorrow's matchup to finally crown a winner of this event. But as we get into this round, Yek has a very solid lead right now over Peb, Rookie in fourth, and Toast.me having a pretty horrific start, so he'll be quite a ways off, but he should be able to make it to the end here as Rookie's getting pretty close to Peb, and as I say that, he goes quite questionable around the hairpin, so that'll give Peb some recovery, but a little extra speed for Rookie.
No, Rookie has a drift.
He might, but I think he's a little too wide now, so that'll be Yek grabbing that first 10 points, then Peb, Rookie, and Toast. Slowly pulling up to the scene here, and I think he should have enough speed for the risky. Yes, he does.
Yeah. Well, good enough. I noticed Rookie, I know he's an incredibly talented mixed and tech player. I don't know how good he is at full speed, so that might be one of the big problems I noticed. His speed slide there in that section was very wide and not very good in general, so this might not be the map, but it might actually pay dividends for him to play this first, because he might start out a little bit lower and then be a little bit stronger. We've seen other players in other matches start off not the best on a map maybe they're less familiar with or less comfortable on. But Yek is going to give a few free points here and there. Peb seems to be keeping it pretty consistent, although he did risk in his own rights in the previous round rather. You do have Toast.me and Rookie trailing behind. Actually, Toast got a much better SD going into that. So yeah, I think Rookie maybe is just not the most comfortable with SDs, as it turns out. Fellow keyboard player, it's difficult to learn, I can attest to. Rookie going for a very aggressive bug slide there with their reactor. Peb just chilling up in the lead, whole second separating them. Yek just so far behind, and Toast.me is a little bit too far behind Rookie to really catch up. Peb missed and actually gets relegated down to third. Yeah, third. Okay, I wasn't sure where Yek was when all the chaos happens. Rookie thanking his home country of Uruguay to I say that like he's not located in Uruguay normally and right now, but two relatively chaotic rounds have left the points very close.
Yep, 4 points from first to fourth, so we'll see how that carries on through the rest of Blonde, and then of course into Mesosphere and Ironclad and Goldilocks. So depending on how much practice the players have put in for those, we'll see if the point splits get greater or lesser, but right now it's a pretty solid round across the board. We have had Rookie make a mistake though, so after thanking his home country, he now has to apologize to it, but that's all right. As we go into the full speed section, I think Yek's speed drifts are just a little bit better than Peb's. Yeah, they are. It's not enough to really overtake, but the drift will bring them so very close, and Toast is sitting in the background waiting for something to happen. If anything, a very tight line for Yek does not help his exit in the slightest as Peb retakes the lead, but the transition onto the wood's going to give Yek a little bit more speed. Peb's a little bit more shaky, but I think he should have this going into the risky. Yes, he does. He barely grabs it. He barely grabs the finish.
It took like a brief half second for my game to register that he got through, so I thought he missed because the way he bounced out, so that was almost pure panic once again. Peb, maybe some challenge with precision, maybe that will come back to bite him in the butt once we get towards Ironclad or whatnot, the more precise maps. But for now, he seems to be running away with a good amount of points currently in that first place, but no one's really separated themselves so much that it's unrecoverable for everyone else to claw their way back. Even with Rookie taking his mistake, he's 4 points away from first place. Even Toast, 7 points away. That's not terrible. So right now these players are keeping it relatively close. Peb seems to have a much better inside line there. Yek has a slight amount more speed, but again, it's not really going to lead to an overtake quite yet. It's going to require some better drifts and maybe a mistake from Peb, but he seems to be getting this reactor section in particular very clean every single time. Doesn't really go for the bug slide, just goes wider so he doesn't have to. Coming into the wood section, no funky landings so far, but Yek is slowly gaining with his drifts. I don't know if he'll be able to overtake, but it's going to get very close to the line. Peb will keep it, but just 500 separating them.
Yeah, I don't know if you picked up on an Acronator, but the beam to the wood, I noticed that Yek got his gear maybe a tenth or two quicker than
Yeah.
his opponent, and that's why he was so close. Not enough for the overtake, of course, but that is why he was able to get so close to Pep there right at the end. I think had the grass section gone a little bit better, I think we could have seen Yek overtake, but that inside line for him has been sort of his downfall on
Yeah.
Blonde, because it's great if you want to say grab the checkpoint early or at least get to the corner first, but on exit he has comparably like no speed to Peb. So, had he gone a bit wider, I think maybe, yeah, I think he could have had that round, but unfortunately he didn't. And it is Peb right now that leads by 4 points, 31-27, and then it's Rookie and Toast right now. 4 points separate them, 21-17. As we head on to Ironclad, our first of 4 rounds here on this map, and we have seen some pretty chaotic rounds, not just in the matches that we have seen, but I'm sure across the board there have been some wild rounds here. But first of 4, how does it go?
Okay, Peb's line is actually the exact same as Toast Me's, which we saw in a previous match in the upper bracket, which sent Toast Me down to the lower bracket. And as well, the splits tell, that is not the line. So my worries for Peb have now increased tenfold, as he's probably going to be giving up a lot of points on this map unless he fixes that beginning grass line, because it does seem to lose at least 2/10 compared to everyone else. So keep that in the back of your mind, folks, and keep an eye out for it, because you will be seeing Peb kind of flying off, although he is gaining some purchase back from Rookie, who doesn't have the cleanest of lines. Yek is just chilling. He's in his own lane. He's moisturized.
No,
he's
thriving.
Not. Never mind. He was right up until I said something, and Peb actually will be. No, he won't be able to snipe it away.
That's a wow, Peb. Okay, I know the camera's not on him, but he was chilling up against the support pillar, I guess.
Okay, I was so confused. I was like, how did he get 8/10 away? The bounce was weird, and he got stuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep an eye on Peb's line right here. Unless he changes it in one round, he might have just realized. Nope, he's doing the weird line.
Well, think about this though. When Toast did the line as well, he was able to stay right with the pack, as we do see Yek and Rookie come into this as Toast completely face plants. So while, yeah, it's not the line, it's not the best line, it's a pretty bad line, it's still enough to stay competitive, at least until, you get to some of these later turns. So it's not the best line, but it has kept them close, which I guess for them is they're kind of maybe banking on the rest of the run being good enough to get first or second. I'm not certain, of course, but right now we see Yek. Oh my God, how did he hold that one together? That was impressive. And he will maintain the lead unless he clips the edge here, and he won't.
Ooh.
So that'll be Yek with 10 points. That'll put him at 40, but Peb will crucially maintain the lead with 45, but a very close round there.
Especially with Peb clipping the his back tires on the ledge to the risky finish. Rookie almost had a chance to overtake if he was maybe just 1 or 2 speeds slower. But yeah, it seems that Peb is maintaining that lead for now. Again, he is losing a little bit of time in the beginning, but the rest of it, like his midsection on this map, is pristine from what I've seen.
Oh yeah, incredible.
He's losing a lot of speed right here, which I mean happens every single time, but whatever you're comfortable with. And honestly, did someone
Yek.
just...
That was Yek.
Okay. Yeah. Well, now you have Rookie trailing up the rear between Toast.
And there goes Toast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, he got more acquainted with the scenery. Not the right time for it, but, well, either way, Rookie has a lot more speed than Peb coming into this section, but Peb seems to be very comfortable in grass sections as he maintains quite a bit more speed, actually gains more speed than Rookie there. Coming into the plastic section, as long as they can avoid airtime, who knows what will happen. But he had to oversteer a little bit, so we're giving Rookie a bit more purchase. Peb with some gear issues, and you will see it stabilizes at about a 10th, separating the two of them as long as they can keep it clean, but they can't. I can't even finish the sentence, and Peb just walk it in, man. You're good. You got a free 10-pointer, 55 points. Rookie will reluctantly take second, and Yek is trailing up the rear.
That was impressive. Not from them, from you. I've I don't know what to say, Acronator. You have
I
weird
have done
powers, but
worse.
I'm here
Let's
for
be
it.
real.
That's true. I have to. I can't talk. But we have seen a bit of a closing up of the points. Peb 12 points ahead of Yek, and then Yek's only got one over top of Rookie. And Toast right now kind of all by himself. We are again seeing those two different lines come in. And by the time we get to the next checkpoint, Yek has come back. We sort of lost Rookie. He might have had a bit of an awkward line, so that does leave Toast and Peb to contest for first place with Yek, of course, unless there is some major miscalculations that come into play. And Toast says, hey, here's how you can do it horribly. And he will absolutely just fall down the grid. And Peb with the touch. So now Yek is very comfortably ahead by a pretty sizable margin, a second and a half. He can take it easy, but I almost feel like he is going to fully set it. He absolutely is trying to improve upon the time, and he will drop a 57.4 here. It will be Rookie in second, Peb just reaching the finish line, and Toast has just enough speed to clear the ledge, but how about that from Yek, showing that he's going to be the guy who's in charge here this time around, I think.
He definitely has the fastest pace from what I've seen if he can keep his line clean, because I keep in mind the pole that Peb bonked right at the end there to get him down into third place. Yek was also like on the exact same line, was just a few pixels to the left. So that was very dicey. He's risking it a lot, which I think in this match he might actually have to, because everyone else seems to have pretty good pace as well. It's just that Yek is a little bit more consistent, but that consistency isn't quite enough, obviously, since Peb is comfortably in the lead for now.
Yeah, by 6 points as we go into Mane for our next match. Rookie drops an aware in chat. I don't know if that's something we said or something
it's
relating to the map.
Precision. We were talking about Rookie, so who knows? But
yes.
Who knows? Unless he was saying aware about the pace comments I made, but hopefully not. I don't know. But this is the precision map, so I don't know who's going to come out on top here. Peb with a little bit of an awkward landing. You can see he's already falling a little bit behind. He's going to need a very tight drift to make it. Never mind. They bonk. Actually, I think Yek touched as well, so Rookie is just chilling up in the lead with Toastme not too far behind. Everyone else trailing. I think the precision is taking its toll already.
Yeah, that's sort of the one thing we notice with precision maps is there is that added pressure. Normally with the competitive maps, hello, Yek, okay, and goodbye. All right, as quickly as he entered, he has exited stage left. Thank you very much. As I was saying with the precision maps is, and all these other competitive maps that we have, especially with this map pack, is there is sort of a room for error, if you will. You can experiment a little bit, do something a little bit different, but with Mane, you really do have to get the line right. You don't have a choice. It's not, I might, do something a little different here, or a little something different there. It's you do what the mapper wants you to do and nothing else. And if you do it wrong, well, you can see what happens. And Yek was a very good example of that.
Yeah, no, he had dreams, but unfortunately his hopes were dashed pretty fast as he even falls down to third place. Peb, again, is someone who we weren't really familiar with coming into this. Obviously, as people from the NCSA region, we're more familiar with Rookie, we're more familiar with Yek as he hangs out with us quite a lot, but but we're not as familiar with Peb, but he's really impressing, honestly. Let me finish the sentence before you crash, at least. So Peb falls down to third place. He overtakes Toastme very fast to regain at least one position, but Rookie and Yek currently up in the lead. Never mind, Peb is fighting for second place. I don't know where he found this speed, but he pressed B for boost, maybe taking some lessons from Josh, as Yek has a much cleaner line than last time he was at this part in the map. Rookie really fighting tooth and nail to keep that second position, but Peb just has so much more speed. I don't know where he's finding it, but he's maintaining. Dude, did he just respawn?
Yeah, he did. He went full stop into the wall. He hit the on exit, that one little barrier piece that's angled to be like meet up with that light pole, just straight into that.
It's a bold strategy, Legion. Let's see if it works out.
I don't think it does, because it is that gets hurt. Yeah. I'm noticing this lobby is really good at the whole, hey, commentators, can you shut up for a second? I gotta do something. And then immediately crashing. So this is one of the matches, I think, of the year or if not all
So
time,
far.
because
Yeah.
we have a 1 point gap. Yek's at 67, Rookie and Peb are at 66. It's Toast right now who drew the short straw. But like, my God, this has been all over the place. Whatever
I love
predictions
it.
we said, I love it too. I'm so happy. Like the predictions,
Rookie.
anybody who did like pick'ems is probably just stressing so hard right now. If they predicted this match and then they're just looking at who's gonna finish where and they're looking at how these rounds are going, they're just like, I don't know. But we have it's kept it very, very interesting and very, very close right now. As Peb does open up the gap right now on Yek. Toast is coming back into this, but a little crisscross. We'll see Yek continue to hold second place, and it is Rookie who has had the worst run right now in this round. But Yek starting to come back a little bit, a 10th and some extra, and that does get cut in half. He's right on top, into the plastic, onto the platform again, into the final checkpoint, into the jump. And Yek, 59, triple two for him, needed 10 points. That'll put him at 77. Peb's going to have to settle with 73. And then Rookie's got a nice set of points there. And Toast has 45. So we are seeing that this map is causing a lot more problems, just, I'd say, solely off of the precision aspect.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. And, well, completely unrelated. But it's Ryan. Thank you very much for the raid. Welcome, Raiders. Good to see you all join in for the most Yek match of the day in more ways than one, as Rookie's currently trailing up the rear. Something we don't see too often, but this map has definitely been a little bit of his bane, so to speak. Peb has to release there, and you can see on even wet wood, you lose a lot of speed when you release. So now it's Rookie and Yek up towards the front. Toast Me had a little bit of an awkward drift and will fall further behind, but Rookie crashes, so he will have to full respawn. Yek with a lot of airtime. Peb will be able to overtake with Toast Me, who crashes, and Peb is left alone in the lead. Has to be seconds at this point, separating him from even second place.
Oh
yeah,
my
sure
God.
enough. Just walk it in, man. Just walk it in.
Just make a mistake. You have to join him. That was after another. That was impressive. That looked too coordinated. I think there may be a conspiracy here.
All four players are in a VC together. Hey guys, let's screw with the broadcast.
You know what? Part of me believes that. Part of me believes that somehow, some way, these guys are like wicked good friends. And now that they're all in a lobby together and they've all got the stream open, they're like, you know what? Yeah. What Acronator said, mess with them. And you know what? If you guys can hear us, I want to see a backwards round. I think that'd be kind of fun.
Backwards, yeah, on Mesosphere,
a full backwards round
of all maps. This one,
it's backwardsable. You know, you can do that. I mean, I haven't seen anybody fail at it.
Very low bar to hit, but sure, why not? But getting into the warm up. And we'll be going into what is probably the most psychotic map of the pack. Not the craziest map I've ever seen. Actually, ironically, I'd say one of the craziest maps I've ever seen in a comp would actually be mapped by Yek. Him and Lin, I believe, were the two that mapped it back in, PATC 2, I think. I forget the name of it. It was like Neve or something like that. I might be completely mixing up names with maps here, but it was just crazy. Similar to this in the way that it had like mini RPG elements, and everyone hated it. And it was really funny as a caster because I didn't have to suffer through it. I got to watch their suffering. But right now, everyone's keeping it clean, so no major suffering yet. That comes later, probably. Maybe.
I was going to say, yeah, very load-bearing yet. Because this map we have seen, even with some of the higher skilled players, we have seen quite a lot of problems form here. This one does seem to be a map that doesn't really subscribe to sort of one, I guess, theme of racing. It's not, it's not like a fast, full speed tag. It's sort of, like you said, it's kind of that mini RPG. It kind of does its own thing. And I think that sort of throws players off because they might be expecting a certain style. Yek with the 54-7, though, 2/10 exactly ahead of Rookie. So it was a pretty good round overall. I think Toast probably had to release no major accidents to really report. But Yek right now at 90 points, 3 wins away from getting to finalists, and if he can do it here on Mesosphere, that would be something going into the next map with finalists already.
Yeah, definitely a good position that you want to be in. Randomize. Am I talking about Voldemort? Maybe. That name rings a bell. I know Yek was one of the authors on the map I'm thinking of. It's been so long, man. It has been years at this point. That was like early days for NCSA region, and Peb will clip the wall there briefly and fall a little bit further behind, potentially allowing Toast Me to overtake Rookie, trying to overtake Yek, but not quite getting enough purchase yet, going for an alternative line, but doesn't really seem to gain or lose very much. So he's just kind of stuck in second place right now. He'd love those extra 3 points to start to overtake Peb, but I don't think that's really going to be the case. Yek is playing it pretty safe, and they both get the gear about the same time. Yeah, 54.8, pretty solid time there from Yek. 54 anything is very fast, so
Oh yeah.
both those first two players are pretty solid rounds.
Yep. Yek at 100, so potentially 2 more round wins here on Mesosphere will put him into finalists, and Peb right now is just barely holding Rookie off by a single point, as Peb is all over the place right at the start, thankfully able to recover that one, and
no.
as I say that, all right, well, in that case, Toast is running with the top 2 right now, on track for some decent points. He's got a little over a second right now to Peb, but Peb could recover, of course. Mistakes are to be had here. Rookie's really giving Yek the hard time because he is keeping him pretty darn close. It's going to be a couple of tenths as we head through the checkpoint, just about 3. As we get more deeper into this this map, we are getting up towards the end, though. The no break block here it makes this section, of course, a little bit harder, but it resets as you go through the checkpoint. But yeah, he's got some incredibly fast lines. What is that? Hello.
I don't know what that was, but you know what it probably is? It's probably to give him Gear 5 a little bit faster, because that is one of the things that can screw with your time on this map in particular. If you listen very closely to the gears, most people only get it right before the wall ride, and if you don't get it, then it slows you down by like 30, 40 speed sometimes. So I wouldn't blame him for it, although I don't know if it's the fastest line, but it's the fastest line in the lobby, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, as long as you're first by the time you get to the finish line, I think you're pretty much all set. So for Yek, that's great, and he is. I'm expecting him to get finalist on this round. He won't be the dreaded 119, thank God, but you know, anything can happen, and he's really through this platform. Yeah, a little clip. Rookie's going to go through. Same with Peb, so they could deny it. We could have an extra round of white numbers for Yek, but we have seen his ends here and how the rest of the map goes, and as he does clip the transition onto the dirt, that will lose him even more time, about 6 tenths to Peb right now. So Rookie, 10 points for him would be great, because that would give him an extra 3 points over Peb as we head into the next map, and it will be 107 for him, 101 for Peb, and then 114 for Yek. So as long as Yek can get second in the next round, he will be finalist, and then from there, of course, he does have to win. But with how close Peb and Rookie are to him, I think we might see the potential for someone else to usurp that first spot and go to the next round sooner.
It's definitely possible if my math is correct. Not really math, but I think it's Goldilocks Zone. Yeah, Goldilocks Zone is the next map. That's the last one in the rotation, I believe, before we go back to Blonde, which maybe not the best opportunity for Rookie, as he struggled pretty hard on that map. So if you're Rookie, get finalist, finish finalist here and now. That's probably the plan, unless he just needed some warm up on Blonde, but you know, he didn't warm up after 4 rounds the previous time, so I wouldn't bite on that. So the clock's a ticking if you're Rookie, because you might potentially have to give that second place or first place even over to Peb. But we'll have to see as we're getting done with the warm up right now. Yek, of course, just about in the hot seat. Rookie and Peb are going to have to deny, because they want to get that finalist done sooner than Yek. Not so much in the lead that it's unrecoverable, and I think that was Toast Me who touched the wall there, so he's going to be falling completely out of contention. Peb a little bit further behind, so he's going to have to play some catch up here. Rookie, however, in prime position. Peb, I don't know where he found that extra speed, but he's right back into the fray of things. I think found an early gear or something along those lines. This plastic transition can be a little bit wonky,
not
and
too good for him though.
gets a weird bounce, so he will fall ever further behind in the chase for that first 2 positions.
Yeah, but look at Yak going back into first place. He wants to deny Rookie as many points as possible. If the positions stay as they are into the finish, then Rookie would be at 114. But here comes Peb. He wants some extra points. He wants to keep the gap to 3.
Buddy.
Both him and Peb are going to have to release to avoid the wall. Yek keeps it pinned. We are going into the risky. Yek will be on finalist. Peb bounces off the risky finish. That'll give Toast Me 4 points. And now Peb gets it, second time of asking. Yek is on to finalist. Rookie, 114. And for Peb, it's 104. Absolutely not what he wanted.
No, it's kind of the worst case scenario for Peb. He really risked it. He had second place in the bag, and then he had fourth place in the bag. So, wrong order of operations there from Peb. Just played it a little bit too far to the right. I respect the risk, but this time it just didn't pan out. And now, I mean, you're going to need someone to deny Yak. You don't want him to get that first place spot. Even if you're Peb and Rookie and you feel confident you can beat one another, you don't want to let Yak get away with it.
Oh, there goes Rookie.
A Rookie getting away from the track, as it were. So now it's all up to Peb to play denial, potentially get a little bit closer to Rookie in terms of points. He can't overtake. At best, he could tie if Rookie DNFs, but I don't think he's that much in the mud quite yet. I don't think I can cast a criticism when I'm looking at Peb's POV and not his, but currently, Yek in the lead, but only by less than a tenth, so there is plenty of opportunity. Peb needs to find that purchase, however. He does have a little bit more speed here, but we have one more turn remaining, 2 completely different lines, and I think Yek has more speed coming out of it. He gets the downhill sooner. All he needs is a clean final approach, and he will lock it in.
Yep, there it is. Yek will go on to another round. He does not have to worry about elimination just yet. Peb will get 7 points. That'll put him at 111. And Rookie,
finish.
Is he going to be able to get it?
No,
he's not. He's going to be just a quarter second short. The turnaround took a little bit too much time. So 3 points separates him from Peb. We could see, potentially, double finalists if Peb is able to win this round and Rookie gets second. And then from there, I think it'll be one more round here on Goldilocks Zone before the switch. And you talked about it earlier, Acronator. Some of us would like to avoid going on to Blonde again, as we saw how that panned out. Right now, though, Peb in the lead. Rookie staying close behind, and a little bit of a mistake for Toast is going to put him out of it. So not really much of a concern at the moment, but still could come back if there are more mistakes. Peb, though, a lot more speed from him. Will open up the gap. Very great transition from him. Smooth as a butter. That'll open it up half a second, and the drift will actually make Rookie drop his gear. He will not hold on to fourth gear, but he does get it back. It does stabilize. Peb growing his advantage right now by about half a tenth, 6/10 of a second. Rookie gets the uphill very, very wrong. So now there really is not much for Peb to worry about. He just has to make it to the end. He will grab the reactor. He will go up into the risky finish. He will be finalist. And so will Rookie. Potentially one final round to decide it. Toast Me is only going to get 4 points, and I don't know if he has the ability to deny these guys for another, 5 rounds, 6 rounds, potentially?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think Toast Me was just destined to lose this one, but he's performed reasonably well thus far. I mean, he's fighting an uphill battle of the century right now, but Rookie and Peb, all eyes are on them. No mistakes, clean driving, good pace. That's what they need to close it out here and avoid having to go to Blonde. But
I don't think we'll be going to Blonde though. I
don't think so either. I think it's going to be one of these 2 finalists. There was the opportunity for Rookie to have to go to Blonde if Peb didn't get finalist there, but 2 very different lines. Rookie goes very inside, and it looks like it paid dividends. Just briefly, drifts about equal. They are right on top of each other, 4 milliseconds separating them. Peb looks to be taking a little bit of a lead here, but goes wide there in the approach. It's tit for tat right now. Peb has a little bit more speed. He's in the lead. Rookie going for a more risky line, but he has to release just a little bit, and Peb just needs a clean finish. Can he thread the needle?
Yeah, there it is.
And Rookie didn't even manage to finish properly. I think he knew. That's going to be Rookie, unfortunately, going home alongside Toast Me, putting my predictions in the mud a little bit there. 1 for 2, I guess, isn't the worst in the world, but GG's to Peb. I love being proven wrong as an analyst.
That was exciting. Once we got certain somebody out of the way, it really started to close up the competition. I mean, that was incredible, though, from Yek and from Peb, just continuously throwing themselves at it, even though, you know, they knew only one of them was going to get out of this alive. They both gave it their best, and of course, we do have to give props to not Rookie, but to Toast. Of course, he was a contender, but yeah, Peb and Rookie, they were. I mean, you could have thrown it either way. Honestly, I don't think there was a clear-cut answer as to who was actually going to win. Yeah, no, I mean, we even saw it towards the middle section there of that final round. They were milliseconds apart from each other. I mean, it was like fractions of a fraction of a second separating the two of them, and it really just came down to who handled the nerves better. And in that case, Pep just had the better approach into that final uphill turn before the reactor into the finish. So, you know, GG's to everyone all around. They played really well. But that's all we have for this round. Don't go anywhere, folks, unless you want to run to the bathroom or refill your water one last time, because we do have one final round for today. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the last time today. Don't worry, there'll be more tomorrow, but we are back for the last round of the lower bracket for today, round number 4, and you might notice a slightly different face Allegiant had to run. So we got the psychopath himself, usually behind the scenes, but currently in front of the camera. Randomize, how you feeling?
I'm good, man. Yeah, definitely behind the scenes now, brought up to the foreground. Unfortunately, Allegiant did have to run, but we have one more match today, and I've been excited. I've been enjoying these matches, some of the matches that have been happening. I mean, we have one match coming up, which is going to be Arkster, Rostak, Milmy, and Charky, which is the last match on the bracket if you are following on Trackmania. Charky's match was insane, Acronator. It didn't happen on stream, but I got to watch it. Charky clearly got in, easy, but the other 3 players, triple finalists, terrifying, and Torvin almost took it and then died at the end, and that let Ice Storm go through. So it was insane, and I'm expecting one more insane match of the day.
Well, certainly, I would say let's talk about predictions, but I'm going to be honest, I don't really know much about any of these players other than Charky, being American myself. So there's obviously going to be a little bit of bias there, but honestly, I think Charky's a bit on the back foot here because we have 2 players coming from the upper bracket. So I would have to expect that Rostak and Milmy are going to be the favorites, but I love to be proven wrong.
Yeah, that was the team. Those are the 2 that I was expecting to pretty much take it. Milmy is an amazing player. Rostak's a great player. Arkster is actually the one player I haven't really heard too much about. So I'm very excited to see him get into this one as we are starting on our first map, and it's again up to 120. We don't touch the 140s until tomorrow, and a good start coming out of Milmy and Rostax, the 2 players coming up from the upper bracket. Charky unfortunately falling behind pretty early, but it's going to see who's going to kind of set the standards into this match. Milmy makes a small mistake as he touches the outside of that dirt. That's going to allow Axter, excuse me, I thought I saw an R. I can read. Axter up in P2, and that's going to be how it's going to look like going in to our first match. Charky, you need points. Charky needs points. Please finish. There we go. I don't know what happened there. Points. Yeah, not to be that guy, but you know, this is going to be a rough match for him as the only NCSA player. I believe you mentioned it off screen. He's the only NCS player pretty much left in this entire tournament.
Yeah, he's the last NCSA player, period, especially with Rookie being knocked out, Nats being knocked out. So, yeah, he is carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire region here, but I don't know how much we're dreaming right now. But Milmy currently up in the lead with Rostak, the 2 Czech players. Is anyone shocked? They're the 2 that are coming from the upper bracket again. they're very much at the advantage here. Milmi very much in the lead right now by about a tenth. We're just not going to talk about third and fourth place. They're about a second behind. So really the fight is between the top two right now. Rostak a little ways behind, gets to stare down Milmi's beautiful Bass Pro Shops skin. Does that make him an honorary American? I feel like it might.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Do they have those in Europe? Europeans, please
I don't
chime
know.
in on this. They certainly don't have the giant pyramids.
We're getting word from production that more than likely not. So yeah, I guess we have an honorary NCSA just in case Sharky doesn't make it. But yeah, Milmi being able to bounce back on that one, get first into that round, put himself a little bit closer to the top two, a little bit into the top two a little bit better. I was actually looking at the past rounds as well. Milmi close to finalists, losing to Manta and Naiko, but those two players are definitely good players to go up against. And I believe Rostak had a little bit of a harder time. No, he's about around the same area now. Rostak came in fourth place. Everyone hit finalists, including Nemo Jr., who's also fighting in the lower bracket right now. So Rostak has some explaining to do and try to bounce back as we are in this one. Currently, Rostak sitting in P4. Charky, though, the one player that I would say the caster bias is up in P2 following his wannabe NCSA player Milmi with the Bass Pro Shop car. And it's looking pretty good right now. Milmi has some good space, 0.2, 0.3 ahead as we come into the final moments here. And that's going to give Milmi that P1 position again, getting even closer to Rostak, who only got P4. So I believe if I'm doing my math correctly, that's going to actually put him up into P1. Hey, look at me, caster math.
Yeah. Rare thing, caster math
I know.
being correct, but you know, it works every now and then. And currently, a relatively close field. Now that might just be because we're starting on Mesosphere, and a lot of mistakes happen, including Charky right there. Yeah, that's not the first time we've seen that exact bonk. Not necessarily from Charky last round. It was Rostak, but yeah, this map is brutal, to be honest. And Axter also getting a small clip there, not losing too much speed, but it will allow the two Czech players to get up in the lead. Once again, Milmi just vibing. He's up in the front. He's chilling. Free 10 points as far as he's concerned. He doesn't need to do anything other than just avoid mistakes, because he has the pace, certainly. We've seen that already. He's gotten pretty good at the ending portion of this map. And it doesn't really look like Rostak is gaining on him all that much. A little bit of an awkward line there from Rostak. I don't think he's going to be gaining any more purchase. Nope, just clean. Milmi. 54.4 is pretty darn fast, honestly. About 0.35-ish away from world record, give or take. Actually, 0.4 away from world record, which is 0.08.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you could sit there and kind of show off a little bit. Not to talk down to the other players, of course, but Milmi, I think, is kind of like what Legion was saying earlier, where dropping a Div 1 player into a Div 15. I would say Milmi is a Div 1 player dropped into maybe a Div 3 or 4 match right now, if you're coming from the Cup of the Day standards. But that was only the first map, because we are going to be moving on to Goldilocks Zone. We have seen so many different variations on the ending that anything could happen. Of course, this is probably the most standard comp map out of the entire map pack. This is what you would see closer to the difficulty size of normal competitions, while other maps have been a little bit on the lighter side, as do requested. So here we go. We're going to be moving on into the next map, Goldilocks Zone. Acronator.
Well, already, I didn't even say anything yet. Rostak had already clipped. That does not count as a caster curse.
I said your name, so neither of us cast a curse.
I know, right? But the other three, besides Rostak, are currently neck and neck with each other, currently looking to steal as many points as they can away. Rostak just playing catch up, really. Not any major mistakes coming out quite yet, but you do see Axter and Charky slowly falling a little bit further behind Milmi, who definitely has a really strong line here. Beautiful transition into that plastic section. We've seen some bumps, and speaking of bruises there, Axter will lose quite a bit of time and speed, probably fall further behind, not far enough behind for Rostak to really catch up. So right now it's really a two-man race between Charky and Milmi. Charky actually has a really good dirt line there and catches quite a ways up. Tenths gained, but I don't know if there's enough track remaining for him to overtake. Milmi has a really solid line. Didn't look like he had to release whatsoever. Charky going for a very aggressive approach. Low to high, but does not matter. Does gain quite a bit of time in the end there, but Milmi will remain winning that 10 points.
Yeah, I would say knowing our region pretty well, Charky is pretty good at having to make some close calls. Usually, I believe if I remember correctly, Charky does play with HUD off, but when he peaks it on at the end, he tends to be able to do a really good job making the calls that he needs to, trying to go for those last second pushes. That's why I felt like that last bit of the reactor felt a little bit not your typical line, but he really did need to find something to try to get himself as close as possible on that inside to get in that finish line. But going into our second round of a Goldilocks zone, Charky is now met up with the pack of Axter and Rostax, who are sitting behind. Millie with a big lead right off the bat, 0.3, 0.4 off of the other players. Charky is just trying to get away from the pack so that he can start to gain a little bit more points, as he is currently sitting in that third place points-wise. But Axter makes a big mistake. That's going to allow Charky to start to try to push away from the other players and get closer to them over points, as Milne still leading this pack. Rostax not too close, 0.3, 0.4 behind. But we've seen this ending, claim lives left and right. Charky goes for a pretty clean line and then bunked the top a little bit too high, but it works out for him either way, still being able to put those 7 points on the board and ever so closely creep up back to Rostack, excuse me.
That name keeps tripping you up every
It's getting me. I want to say Rockstar. It looks like a good name for Rockstar, but it's like, no, it's Rostack.
It's all right. Reading is tough. I know. But
hey, man, I've been running this tournament since 9 a.m. this morning. I'm tired.
I wake up until 10. Anyways, caster privilege. Burrowstack, despite having a rough couple of rounds here and there to start off, Goldilocks Zone seems to be doing pretty well this time around. At least he's further in the fray of things right now. Milne just has Goldilocks Zone on lock, to be honest with you. Like, he has been up in the lead every single time, and it's really up to the others to keep up with his pace. He's not slowing down for him, or should he, to be honest with you. That'd be kind of funny, but also terrifying, because then brings up a whole lot of competitive integrity issues that I'm sure you don't want to deal with. I'm just pulling randomizes leg. He's like, don't even mention it.
Actor makes a mistake in the background, though, so he's going to be pretty much out of this round, while Charky is battling Rostack. Milme again, just cleanly in the front. He presses B to boost at the beginning and then stays up in front. But Charky trying to find that inside line, and he does. Gets the snipe for P2. A great round out of him, and that is going to allow Charky to jump up, and I believe they are now tied in the points, 38-38. Milme sitting nice and comfortably up in front with 64 points, and Axter starting to fall a little bit behind. He's 10 points behind. It doesn't seem like a lot, but you really want to set yourself up later on, especially because depending on how these players play, there's a good chance you can go back to map number 1 in the rotation, and Axter didn't seem to do too hot in that one, so you don't want to fall behind too early.
Certainly not. And actually, I think Rostack is starting to catch the swing of this map, as he's currently up there with Milne, a feat that no one has really accomplished in the early portions thus far, although I say that Milne had a much better approach into that gear. And yeah, he's tenths ahead of everyone else. I don't know where Charky is, just a little ways behind in third place. Still, trailing up the rear is Agster, who's currently in the mud, so it's really just Milme's game and everyone else is eating his dust, as it turns out, quite literally, now that we're on the dirt section. Sometimes Charky can gain a little bit here on his opponents, and it does seem to be that he's gaining a little bit on Rostack, but seems like the positions are keeping relatively constant. Milne getting dangerously close to the left portion of the upper part of that wall, but doesn't pay for it. Charky looking to snipe, but he's not playing Counter-Strike. This is Trackmania, so he's got to put the op away and get back on the steering wheel, because he's a little ways behind Rostack in both time and points for now.
Yeah, Charky's ending there is really impressive. He stays low, shoots up high, and aims for the really inside of that finish arch. And so he has to be careful because it is a very risky strat for him to do. As we saw the one round, he just bounced off and barely made it in. But it's a really good strat to have in your pocket when you need, if we ever came back to that map. I don't think we will mathematically. I don't think it's fully possible unless we get a quadruple finalist. But the chances of that are a little bit low, especially the way Milmi is playing. He is just destroying the. Actually, no. If Milmi continuously gets first place over and over again, there's a good chance we can get back to a 7th map. But that requires everyone else under him to just, make mistakes and flip-flop around with the points. But right now, Rostax only 3 points ahead of Charky. And remember, this is the lower bracket. This is the last match to get into that top 16. You cannot be lower than 2nd place if you want to move on to day number 2.
Well, we are on Blonde now, the one map that I know of that was made by a toddler, but we have to mention his age every single time. But other time, I like the map.
Poor other time. He's finally growing up.
Goes to a land.
No. Oh, he's in the chat too.
Yeah, I know he's in the chat. He was in here for a while. You get to witness Josh just utterly decimate everyone on this particular section of the map.
I wonder why.
Yeah, right. Some people, Elcon, brought it to him a little bit, but there was no hope. But Axter actually looking pretty solid. And this is, of course, one of the more oddball maps of the bunch. So you never know who's going to randomly do really well on this map. And Axter, this might be the one for him. But Milmi, I guess it's just good all around. He's just the best player in the lobby. And he's looking to prove it as long as he gets the finish, which he does. That was perfectly clean. So I was waiting for some kind of mistake because we saw a few of those earlier. But no. Maybe this is Axter's opportunity to close that gap between him and 3rd and 2nd, to be honest. Those two are quite close to each other.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna push anyone down, but I would say in context of the matches that Milmi and Rostax came from in the past, I feel like Milmi had a little bit of a harder map or competition to go through between Manta and Nyko, where Rostack had Ratchet and Panda and Mimo Jr. So, actually, no, I take that back. Rostax had the harder match. Now that I actually look at who was playing, I take that all back. In my head, I had it back.
Like,
but, yeah, so if anything, it's kind of surprising me how much Rostax is really struggling to push away from Charky, because they're only 2 points overall in the match away from each other, and Axter is kind of hanging on. Like, he's hanging on by a thread, but he's not far. Like, any big swing could happen between the players, but Rostax currently right now in 3rd place. Excuse me. Rostax currently in 4th place, and Axter also in the wall. So he will more than Charky. I thought he missed the finish for a second there, but yeah, that's gonna allow Charky to kind of bounce back against Rostack again. We're gonna have a really hard battle for that P2 position. I feel like I think at this point Milmi is, he's got it in the bag.
He's just him in this match. He is probably going to get first place. That much is obvious. He's pushing on double of 2nd place in terms of points. So that's not too much of a shocker. But I think we're gonna have a banger of a match. Did Axter just die? Kind of. Okay. Well, it's still a battle between Charky and Rostack at the very least. Milmi is just off in 1st place, stealing an obligatory 10 points. It's pretty rare that he doesn't get those, as it turns out. And Charky, is a bit too much airtime and a bit of the wrong landing. I don't know, just do everything completely different the next time you get there. Okay, good. My coaching fee will be DM'd. Either way, Milmi far in the lead. Again, he's doing pretty solid, and it seems like everyone is perfectly spread out, as it were, and Rostack is certainly going to like that extra 3 points on top of Charky if everything stays as it currently is, because that'll put him just 1 point ahead of him in the standings, which, I mean, at this point, just tooth and nail everything you can to get a little ways ahead. Rostack, please.
Oh!
You've got to be kidding me.
Oh my goodness.
Has a little bit more speed. He should be able to overtake. He doesn't bonk the wall, and he will be able to finish just barely. About a 10th ahead, barely, quote unquote.
I was just about to say, as you were talking about it, I was like, this is the part of the map where Charky usually tends to push a little bit harder. and that happened, if we can hop on board with Charky and just watch how Charky will handle this map, he will probably start a little bit behind, but somehow towards the end of the map is when Charky just starts to shine a lot better. If he doesn't push up into that P2 right now, he will definitely bounce back later on. And as you can see it right now, Rostax pushing onto Charky. Charky here had a little bit of a scary. We didn't get to see it on the stream, but Charky jumped very wide there. But he is able to clean this one up, and then he kind of just the same thing as last round. He just kind of chilled out around this area, and then all of a sudden, right at the end, huge push. Just watch the magic happen. Charky, don't let me down.
The one round of the 4 that he doesn't all, but Rostack.
There it is. Rostack did it for me. Thank you, Rostack.
Well, now we have the potential to see Charky get closer to Milmi, although Milmi had a beautiful exit from that reactor section, and I don't think anyone's getting close to him, to be honest. He's looking to get finalists and get the hell out of this. He's like, I'm tired, it's been a long day, I'm done, just let me be in the top 16. And Axter, I don't know if he's going to finish. No, he won't actually, because he has...
No, Axter, there's still a checkpoint.
He knows. I'm sure he knows. I'm sure he knows, but there was nothing he could do. He was already past the timeout spawner. So
that's fair.
Unfortunate, but not much you can do other than give a brief show, scare the caster a little bit. Which map is this off of scenery? Is that... yeah, it is Monet.
Monet.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're moving on to our 4th map, and Milmi is practically 1 round away from hitting finalists. Are we surprised there? Not at all. And it's really going to come down to, we heard Legion say about it last round, where once that first player gets out of the way and that 10-pointer comes back into the equation for the rest of the players, it's really going to start to change things up. The difference between 2nd and 3rd place is only 3 points, and the difference between 1st and 2nd place is only 3 points. So it's not going to change too much if it's Charky and Rostack that are fighting each other. But we'll see how we go into Money as our next round. You're going to stare at our faces until it switches. There we go. I looked over and I still see me. I'm like, hello. Oh, and Axter makes an early mistake right there. So Rostax, again, going head-to-head against Charky, but Milmi is actually with the pack a little bit more, so...
He's mortal.
Maybe he's mortal. We'll see how much these guys are going to risk in the Wetwood. Pretty good lines coming out of them. Rostax actually, I guess, wanted to kind of move himself over a little bit, otherwise he knew he was going to hit that checkpoint. Good call by him, as Charky is going to try to fight his way to P2, but Rostax just better lines on that wood, and that's going to allow him to get farther away. And Milmi up in front. Are we surprised? No.
No. At this point, it would take a miracle for Milmi to not get finalists right now. Yeah, especially with the crash. Milmi doesn't even risk the final. Doesn't have to. There's no reason to. But Rostack,
Axter!
What?
Stop doing this, Axter!
What even happened?
Finish the maps.
I saw it.
He said dodge you in the chat. He went into the finish line and just rode along the arch of the finish line and never crossed over, unfortunately falling back down into P4. Good luck in the chat, as Milmi, officially hitting finalist, now just has to get 1st place and close it on out to take 1st place in the match.
To answer your question, Author Time, I believe Milmi got 2 second places. That's how he had the 4 in his number. Because I don't think he got 3rd anywhere. I could be wrong about that. It's been so long. It's been a long day of Trackmania, and it all just blends together in my head, other than the really crazy stuff like Josh going too high for the checkpoint in or the finishing Goldilocks zone. But other than that, man, I don't even know. Rostack currently looking to overtake. He's looking to snipe out Milmi. Still quite a lot of track remaining, but he does need to deny. Otherwise, that's one of the 2 positions to survive. Now, God, and Rostack has a little bit of airtime in the exact wrong positions. Now it's up to Charky, who is actually taking Rostack's place in terms of how close he was to Milmi, but there's really not much track remaining. I think Milmi's just going to walk this one in. He doesn't need any shenanigans. He doesn't need any fancy tricks. He just needs to drive straight, and he does. He's going to be moving on into the top 16. GG's to Milmi, and, well, folks, it's going to be a little while before we get another finalist, to be honest with you.
So here's a little fun fact. Milmi in the 1st round got 3rd place. and then stayed in first place every single round since
so
then.
was it? It was. Okay, well.
Yeah, it was one third place in first round, and then pretty much ran away with it for the rest of the time. That's almost a perfect game coming out of Milne. GG's to him, though. He does move on to day 2, as we see Axter, who was up in the equation, unfortunately, eating the side of the track and falls right into the back. So now Rostak up in front with Charky following behind, and Charky is pushing the wood, and then the CP pushed him out of the way. Axter also makes a big mistake, so Rostax is pretty much by himself. It's going to be between Charky and Axter now to see who's going to be taking that one extra point between the two of them, whether you're going to walk out of this with 4 points or 3 points. And if I was Charky, this would be very important to at least try to get that 4 points, but +4 behind, it's pretty much GG unless Axter makes a mistake. I'm sure at some point he checked his HUD and saw that he's got plenty of time. Doesn't throw this round like he did that one time, unfortunately for Charky. I'm seeing a little bit of bias between Europe and NCSA, Axter. I see it. But, oh, that's right. I forgot. 10-4-7. So never mind. That's even worse for Charky to give away that round because Milne is not in the equation anymore.
Yeah, well, he's still a little ways in the lead, but again, with the points being much higher now, in general, that can evaporate in just a couple of rounds. So Charky does have to lock in and, well, get those first places. You know, he's, 4 rounds away from getting finalists? If he gets first places nonstop, so he's got one extra round on top of Rostak. For now, of course, Rostak currently in the lead and Charky currently in third place, so it's not really the position that the American wants to be in. Axter holding the line in second, Charky going very wide. He should get a lot more exit speed out of it, but can he control the wood turns at such a high speed? Seems to be doing well enough so far, and actually Rostak's the one who gets a little bit of an awkward turn there, loses a bit of speed, so everyone is neck and neck with each other. Ooh. But I think that was Axter who crashes out into the pillar. Charky has a little bit more speed. Will he be able to overtake? I think Rostak got a little bit more speed, but I'm not sure. 27 milliseconds. And another GR, that's the third time in quite some time over the course of this series that Charky and Rostak have been neck and neck right up to the finish. But Charky does maintain that lead and will claw his way back. Another round like that, and he'll be able to forget about that unfortunate third place 2 rounds ago. But we're going back to, what was even the first map? Mesosphere? I think?
No, we have one. Oh, yeah. 1, 2,
Ironclad, right. We haven't played.
Yeah, we have Ironclad.
I was right about Mesosphere being the first map. We're not there yet.
No, we're not there yet. But, I mean, that last round was pretty much a copy and paste of the few rounds that happened in Golden Zone, Goldilocks Zone, excuse me. So, I mean, Charky and Rostak have just been throwing punches back and forth at each other. Charky right now currently have been landing his punches a little bit better than Rostak's, but this map is a little bit lower on the difficulty scale. It's going to be all about how much you're willing to risk all your turns, how much of that exit speed you're going to be looking for in those plastics. Stop turning and let your car do the work for you. So Charky, with a little bit of a slower start, is going to be starting this fight in the back, but it looks like everyone is going to be able to keep their gears, so we are going to keep this fight going as we start this first round of Ironclad.
You can see Charky really risking the outside line in the grass there to start to really regain the less than fortunate very start of the map. But still currently in third place, but only by a little bit. Not unrecoverable quite yet. I've seen some people take that drift we just saw on the inside of that pole, but everyone here taking a little bit safer. Charky still in that third place spot, looking to overtake, has a little bit more speed than Axter, but actually loses it quite a bit. And the positions are remaining relatively static. Axter may be looking to overtake into the first place spot, and Rostak loses a bit of speed there. Charky overtaking into second. Will he be able to overtake first?
Oh no, he flipped!
He's relegated down into third place after all that. And the only change from the start of this map is that Axter will overtake for a much needed 10 points. Realistically, Axter isn't that far away either.
No, he's not. I mean, that's what I was saying. He was just kind of hanging on by a thread, and now he's starting to sew that needle in and get a few more threads in. It's getting a little bit closer. 9-point difference between Charky and Rostax, and again, the points are much higher, so it's going to be very important to get a better start. Charky had a worse start in the first round. He was farther back, but he did do his outside grass again, which then kept him in P1. But unfortunately, Axer and Rostax doing a really good job with a lot of their exit turns on the plastic, which allows them to be back up in front. We did see a small mistake from Rostax towards the end of the map last round, and Axer was able to take advantage of that. One of the great turn. Oh, and then oh no, the caster curse is live, unfortunately. But Charky, this is where things start to change a little bit. And that's where the touch is. Unfortunately for Rostax, just seems to struggle with that turn. That was the same spot he lost a lot of his speed and allowed Charky to get up in front, unfortunately throwing it at that last ring at the end, and what put him down into P3. But a good recovery for Charky, putting him up at 109. It's looking like Charky has at least a minimum of 2 more rounds to go. These
Possibly.
lights are solid, I swear.
Axter taking up a little bit of grievances with Nolafis, the mapper of this Charky. Again, going for that outside grass, but I think Rostack figured that out because he did not really lose anything to Charky's extra speed there, although Charky's going very aggressive in this drift very late, has a lot of exit speed, and you can see they are neck and neck with each other. Axter just barely behind, going a little bit more inside, and I think that line actually paid dividends as he got a little bit closer to the pack. But currently, Charky going for these very late drifts. It's risky, but so far it's paying off. He's not losing any ground to Rostack, but unfortunately he's not getting in front of the guy either. So they're just kind of stuck in this awkward dance between each other, trying to play the splits game of who can have the better one. Currently, 7 milliseconds separating them. Yeah, well, that just about figures, and now Charky falling a little ways behind in the grass. Gonna have to risk, but I don't think they have too much deviance in their lines, and Rostack will take a clean first place. And, well, that's 3 points clawed back towards Charky if you're Rostack.
Unfortunately for Axter, he really shows like he does have the pace, but he's just struggling to like actually do it consistently, and then unfortunately has to start relying on more of the mistakes of the other players. So I really would love to see Axter show pace and consistency going into these last few rounds, because he has shown definitely he could keep up with these two. Rostax, though, is going to be the one fighting from the back in this round. Charky, unfortunately, you know, you don't have Rostax in front of you, so you're like, okay, cool, I could take first. And then Axter actually showing some pace and consistency as we go into this one. Charky starting to pull away. And Rostax joining the through Axter. How did he not touch that? Oh, I don't know. But he made it work, but it was a bad line. Okay, there it is. Now he touches something. It was a bit of a rough line. Rostax had the best line going into that one. But I think he touched a little bit of that penalty grass, so that's going to allow Charky to have more speed, but ends up slamming into the wall. Axter is going to be back up into P2 now, and Rostax is going to close this one out. He's going to have 117 points. Charky just needs to finish, which, Charky? Okay, there it is. That scared me. It was I was like, did he miss a CP or something? But he didn't. But now we have our first finalist of these three. Rostax 3 points away. Doesn't matter. He just has to finish a round, and he'll be able to get into finalist mode. But because Charky is finalist, he's going to have to try to deny him or trust in Axter. And during the first time of looking at this map, Mesosphere was not good friends with Axter, and Axter came out of this match pretty far down from the rest of them. Charky and Rostax, though, we're going back and forth. I'm just worried about the nerves. This is just one of those maps where the nerves can really play on you, because there are just all these little minute moments where you just have to have a little bit more accuracy than you do on any other map. And it could play on your mind. You could just try to push something, make a mistake, clip somewhere, or just, I don't know, crash into another lightsaber, neon light, whatever you want to call it. But here we go. We're into potentially the last round or the penultimate round or whatever you want to call it at this point as we move on. Charky looking to close this one out and go into day 2. Rostax needs at least to deny Charky or try to finish the round and pray that Axter can do something for him as Rostax falls down into P3.
Charky currently neck and neck with Axter, who I think is finally starting to feel the pressure, gets a little bit more airtime, so you can see Charky has maybe 1 or 2 more speed coming into this, but it doesn't really matter thus far. The grass line is going to equalize the speeds a good amount. Good sharp turn there in Axter. Playing spoiler to Charky's plans, a little bit close to the gear drop there from Charky, but he maintains, does drop to gear 3 there. Seen some of the fastest top players keep gear 4 into that, but Charky has a lot of speed. He should be able to close it out here. He just needs to keep it clean. Don't touch the sign, and that is going to be Charky playing upset to Rostak, who at some point must have crashed, being almost 3 seconds behind, but that is going to be GG's all around. Rostak will fall out. Charky moving on to maintain his life in this tournament. Top 16, not too bad for an American, dare I say.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is some really good competition. You know, we've had our fair share of NCSA players who can put up a good competition against European players, you know, but we don't have our Neil, we don't have our Charles, we don't have our Exotica. You know, we're missing some pretty big names in NCSA in this event. So for Charky to stand up and be like, I will take the torch and lead our people, good on you to make it through alongside with Milne. GG's to the other guys at Rostar and Axter for coming out, playing really well. You got as far as you could in the tournament for this time. Hopefully next time we will see another tournament here at 9 Moons, but that's going to be it for day number 1, Acronator. We've saw some really good matches for day 1. I can't wait to see what day 2 has for us.
Certainly. So folks, remember, we have more matches tomorrow, same time, starts at Cup of the Day. The broadcast will probably start like 10 minutes before that. So yeah, don't play Cup of the Day. Watch 9 Moons, Gravity Break. It's worth it. Higher level competition.
Or do both. Play it and have it in the background and listen to the beautiful voices. We will have Boney joining us on the broadcast tomorrow as well. So we'll have Acronator Legion and Boney back. I will not be here, unfortunately. But yeah, no, I'm very excited for day 2. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Make sure in the chat, type in !Discord so you can get in the action for next time for any 9 Moons events. They host events for FGC. They host events for Rocket League, and they are definitely going to be getting more involved in Trackmania, so plenty of events to get involved in. You won't want to miss that one. And as Acronator said, tomorrow at Cup of the Day time, whether it's 1 p.m. if you're on the eastern side or 7 p.m. for the CES time, or wherever you are in the middle or outside of that, make sure to tune in as we are going to be continuing with the top 16. Acronator and I have been giving pleasure to be able to cast for you guys. Thank you very much for everyone watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget to follow the channel. See you later.